Hi everyone, and welcome to the latest round of Iron Quest. This is the feedback call. My name is Sarah Bartlett. I'm a Tableau Zen Master and Tableau Social Ambassador. And I'm excited today to be joined by Samuel Parsons. Hi Sam.
Hello Sarah, thank you for having me on.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate you taking the time to join me today to provide some feedback. Do you want to give a quick intro about yourself before we begin, just in case there's anyone that doesn't know who you are?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm Sam Parsons. I work for Dyson, obviously a vacuum cleaner and air purifying company, technology company. I'm a lead data visualization developer for them, part of their global quality team. So we're looking at their reliability data of their products. I've been using Tableau for the last 2 years, and I am a co-lead of the Southwest Tableau user group.
Awesome. Yeah, I think you're quite well known in the UK and now further afield for your design skills, which you'll dig into a little bit more. And you've got your blog as well, right? I should have included
Oh
that.
yes, yes, I should sort of mention that. Yes, I do have a blog which is reflectionsindesign.com. So yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. I can put that in the notes on the YouTube video if anyone wants to check that out. But yeah, so this month we were looking at the topic myths, mystery and magic. So it's been a really, really fun month to see lots of different entries coming in on lots of diverse topics. And I think for me personally, I think it was a welcome change to all the coronavirus visits that we had been seeing before. Don't know if you agree, Sam.
Absolutely, it's been. I've really enjoyed seeing all the visits coming through and the variety that's come through as well. So it's going to be good to dig into them and see which visits you've picked to review.
Yes, it's been amazing. I just wanted, before we begin, I just want to show everyone your incredible viz, which to me it looks like it belongs in like a book. It's just, yeah, it's just so good. I don't know. I dread to think how many hours you spent on this. But yeah, it's just.
I was gonna say, do you know what? I missed out on doing my Iron Viz this year. I started it and then I just scrapped it. So this was kind of my own little Iron Viz. Put those sort of hours into it.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. It was hard work trying to find some data. So because it was all about the myth of Hercules and the Greek demigod. So I tried to concentrate on a little bit on storytelling rather than actual analysis from that side of things.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm still scrolling, it goes on forever.
Yeah, it does.
I had the same problem. So I visualized, well, I can't even say visualized, but I did a viz on like myths and legends of the UK. And I've struggled to find any data. I actually ended up making up some data myself. So I had the idea of like top trump cards, so you could play off these characters against each other to see like on like maybe like 3 criteria. And I was initially going to put them side by side, and I thought, who's going to argue with me if I say that this particular witch isn't very strong. Who's to say that she's not, like, she doesn't actually exist. So that's what I did. So it was just a bit of fun. I thought, it is what it is.
It was hard. It was hard to try and think of those sort of extra little bits that you can put into it if you don't have data. I toyed around with trying to make little games out of it, but I just ran out of time. So one of the labours of Hercules, the second labour, was to kill the Hydra, the multi-headed sort of dragon. And if anybody knows the story of the Hydra, you chop one head off and 2 grow back. And I was going to try and make a Tableau game out of that, where you have to pick the right head, because the Hydra has one mortal head. Even if you don't pick the right head, then 2 more heads grow. And I just ran out of time to keep.
Oh, you should still do that. That sounds really fun.
Yeah, it would have would have been quite interesting. But no, I just had fun playing around with Illustrator and creating all the graphics in this, and that was also a learning point for me. The storytelling and using Tableau for the storytelling was one, and Illustrator and playing around with that was another.
Yeah, and I think that's why what makes it so good is, it's actually a good like learning opportunity to participate in kind of things. Like for me, I was playing around with Figma and just silly little things in there, but it was a good learning experience as well. But yeah, anyway, without further ado, I think we'll get stuck into the quizzes because we've got quite a lot to get through today. So the first viz we're going to look at, and by the way, if you're watching this back, we're going to go in alphabetical order. So yeah, if you know where you are in the list, I've got the list here so you can see. You can fast forward to your name. We'll probably spend around 4 minutes on each viz, let's say, just to give you an approximate idea as to where you may be. So let's start off with a Stranger Things viz by Aparna. I love Stranger Things. I don't know about you, Sam, but I'm a big fan.
I have to admit, I've never seen it.
Oh no!
So I have seen this viz and I haven't clicked past chapter 6. I don't think so. I don't want to find out what happens.
Do you have any concept of what Our World and Upside Down means?
No concept of that at all. I have played with the toggle and I see the pitch change behind. It means nothing to me. So I suppose that's probably a little bit of feedback that you can give immediately is if you're not a fan of the show, what does it actually mean? Is there somewhere on here that I don't see like an information or a quick explanation of what the show is actually about?
There's not. No,
I will watch it at some point though.
Yeah, you need to. I think you enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. It reminds me a lot. The film The Goonies.
Yes.
Yeah. So I used to love The Goonies. It's one of my favorite films when I was growing up, and it's just it has that. It's got like it's set in the 80s. This Stranger Things, although it's filmed now. It's got that 80s vibe, and it's lots of things that remind me about The Goonies about it. And it's super fun. It follows like 4 or 5 children. And they go on little adventures and things like that. So,
cool.
Yeah. I won't spoil. I can't really explain to you what upside down is without spoiling the whole.
Oh, okay.
The whole. I don't want to. I don't think. Yeah. If you watch that, I'm just thinking back to the beginning. If you watch it, upside down isn't introduced straight away, and I don't want to. Yeah. Okay. It's pretty hard to explain anyway. So yeah.
Right. Maybe you can sort of tell me if upside down and Our World is done particularly well in this viz then.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I think they're the same. It's just the background that changes.
It is, I think.
Yeah. Essentially, it's the upside down is a. I'm going to explain this really badly. It's a copy of Our World, but it's dark and horrible. That's all you need to know. Yeah. So it's
right.
I don't know. To put it this way, I've seen a Lego set for Stranger Things where you have like a house at the top and there's the characters at the house, normal house, and then there's a whole bottom piece which is essentially a mirror of the upside side, like that, the normal world.
Okay.
But in a dark and horrible, like you see on the screen here, like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the background just changes. It doesn't change, but there is in the upside down world, and you might be able to see in the picture. And this is what the viz reminded me of, is that they have there's this like white stuff kind of floats around in the atmosphere, and I don't know if that was why Aparna chose to do a chart like this, but that's what the dot plot that reminded me of.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I can see it in the picture.
Yeah.
I recognise the logo. I recognise the Stranger Things logo that Aparna's used there. And, so I recognise a couple of the names, but
yeah, you've probably heard of 11. Like she's like the main character.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So I think what we're doing. So what I thought was really interesting about this viz is she calls out the Easter eggs, and then initially when I saw this, I was like, I don't really understand what you mean. But then it clicked because they like I said, there's a lot of in Stranger Things. There's a lot of like throwbacks and little like nods to certain things in like 80s culture or even more recent. So that here you've got ET, X-Men, Dungeons and Dragons, and there'll be certain things that they do that like kind of hat tip to those things. I didn't even know about these, which I thought was really cool that she included them in the viz and kind of where they occur in that particular chapter.
Yeah, yeah. No, I like that. I think that's really nice sort of addition to it, to put that sort of detail in there. I did get confused, but then I don't know the show about time remaining underneath that, but I'll just go with it. I actually quite like it. I think it's very effective. The initial picture or image behind the scene really sort of works well with the white and the color choice of just putting everything else in white. The children cycling in white as well in that picture really sort of ties it all together nicely. The layout's quite nice as well. I like the chapters at the top.
Yeah, it's different to what I would have done, but I think it kind of works. I had, initially it threw me off when I saw the location in the top left. So you've got Hawkins, Indiana, which is where they live. And I thought maybe that was just an indication of where it was set, but then that does change as you click through the chapters.
Okay.
So by chapter 3, they're in Hawkins, Indiana, but they're also in the Upside Down. So I don't know if that was immediately clear in at the beginning, what that kind of area of the chart.
Yeah, so maybe it could. Well, it's got a little thing underneath. Number of times the characters appeared in any location. Yeah, so maybe it could just do with a bit of text to say character location or.
Yeah, I think maybe if that text was above I don't know. I'm looking at there's a line that I think is probably supposed to be like an arrow. That kind of, I don't know if you can see it to the left a number of times.
Yeah.
That I thought that was more of a design kind of choice.
And the light bulb?
The light, that's a reference to something that happens.
Okay. You can't say a lot, can you? Because I don't want
it's
to
not
find
actually,
out.
Yeah, well, it's Christmas lights, but I won't go into any more detail.
Okay. One sort of suggestion I had for this one was when I was looking at it on my laptop, and I found some of the text quite small and quite difficult to read, especially just mostly the text that sort of going vertically. I wonder whether either a slightly larger font on that might work, and you might have to increase the size of the actual dashboard to fit it all in. But that was something I found a bit awkward to read, and even now I'm sort of turning my head and I'm struggling to read some of it.
Yeah, I think I agree. I mean, I'm not a fan of like vertical text anyway, because it's just more difficult to read than horizontal. But if it was me, I'd be inclined to flip the characters and the locations around on the chart on the left. So you'd have your locations going down where the names currently are, and it's generally speaking, the location names are longer than the people names. But then I don't see anything wrong with shortening the names to just their first names, because I think you're not going to have two people called the same thing. Like everyone knows who Nancy is, Steve, Mike, etc. And then they may fit on a single row at the top. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
could work. At least in most cases, they may display like horizontally.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I think that would work. You could always have the first name above the second name if you wanted to include the second name. But yeah, it's nice. It's a nice viz. I think she's done a very
it is
viz here.
Yeah.
I looked. Once I've watched it, I'll have to come back and see if I understand this viz a little bit more.
I want to look for the Easter eggs now. That's making me want to go back. But yeah, one other thing I might do is actually with the Easter eggs chart is rotate that as well, because I think you're not going to lose anything by rotating it. You'll just have that timeline going down on the left.
Yes.
And then you wouldn't have that rotated text either.
Yeah, I quite like the way the vertical lines, they sort of mirror the trees behind it. I think that
true.
Nicely.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, great job.
Yeah.
Okay, next up is Ashish, and this is all about the Skeleton Lake. Rubkund. Can you see my screen okay?
I can, yeah.
Yeah, good. Okay. Had you heard of this before?
Nope.
No.
Never. No.
This is why I love
Which
this
is,
topic, because I've
yeah.
learned so much about different cultures and different myths and mysteries that reside in those, and local legends and things like that. It's been really, really interesting.
Yeah, I'm not too aware of Ashish's stuff, so it's a really good introduction to sort of his style. I think he's done a really nice sort of just it's quite a short viz, in the sense it's just got its introduction and then it's showing the journey, and
Yeah,
then underneath as you click on the dots, doesn't it? And it
yeah,
then explains what a little bit more, but it's really nicely laid out. It's very clean.
yeah, it is. To be fair, I think Ashish was the first person that entered this round. So he actually did this. We must have done it really quickly, because I remember being surprised that someone had entered so quickly and eagerly. So thank you, Ashish. But I really like it. I like the design of the map, and just the viz itself is just really, really clean. Like there's no like fuss or anything like that.
No. I think when I was looking at this the other day, I think when you're clicking on the circles on the map,
Mm-hmm.
and then the story changes down the bottom where it says story of, and then the name. I think you could probably call that out a little bit more sort of boldly, the title of that, so it stands out a little bit more, so it's a bit more obvious what's going on. But yeah, there's not a lot I would change in this. I particularly like the top section, just the text. It's, you know, the font he's chosen at the top, the sort of fat face font. It's really nice, and then the way the sort of introduction text has been broken up into sort of manageable chunks.
Yeah,
that's really nice as well.
Yeah, definitely. So often you see people just do a big chunk of text, and it's so hard to consume. But like you say, it's nice how he's broken it up, and even the separation between, you know, this is what this is, and then the journey is. I think it's quite nice. It breaks it up a bit.
A lot of it, yeah, a lot of that is where you're sort of running out of space on your own sort of dashboard, and you sort of
Yeah,
have a
I've
lot
been
of text, and you're thinking, well, how can I fit it all in? And sometimes you have such a large or such number of objects on your dashboard. You don't want to extend the dashboard or make the dashboard big, because then you have to move everything and reset it all, and it can take a long time. But yeah, so it's nice that he's done that. The bottom text after the story of, it's sort of cut off. It doesn't go, it doesn't extend
like
fully
here.
across the
Yeah,
vid like the top.
yeah.
I would try and fix that, and so then it has that same balance as at the top. And then I think there's not much else I would change in that. I think
No,
the map
I might
behind is
consider
nice.
showing the title in red just to tie in with the map, as you said,
Yeah,
drawing that out a little bit more and maybe making it slightly bigger font as well. But yeah, there's not much to change either. No. Maybe one thing is, I've just noticed it's not here, is the data source. So that could be something to add to the bottom, but it's just a minor point.
Yeah, because it'll be interesting to know how he managed to plot this journey.
Yeah.
You know, how he actually drew that line. Because that couldn't have been easy unless you had exactly that data.
Exactly, yeah. Okay.
That's very good.
Yeah. Next one is Avanish. Sorry if I'm butchering your name. And this is looking at the history of Harry Potter. And I thought we'd get more Harry Potter visits. That we didn't. I'm no expert in Harry Potter. I'll just put a disclaimer out there. I have seen, I think, one of the films. I've not read the book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I don't know.
This is where I've got the advantage on you then.
Yeah,
After that,
yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, so I'm just getting my daughter into it because I think her school usually do a trip to Harry Potter World in the year that she's in, and so she said to me, like, you know, she's not into Harry Potter, and she's like, I really need to start reading it just in case we do this trip, and at least I know what it's all about. So she's just started on the Philosopher's Stone. So yeah, no, is it? Yeah, which is the first one? Philosopher's Stone, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Philosopher's Stone's the first one.
Yeah.
Well, this viz should tell you about the movies 2001. yeah, my children have seen all of them. They've only read the one book, but they do have them all. But they much prefer the movies, and they're young, so they just they're simple. They just want to watch stuff rather than read stuff. But there we go.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen them many times, these films, because they're good films. Yeah, I'm just sort of looking over what he's done here. So he's used Kevin Flurridge's sort of template, hasn't he?
Yeah,
so my initial sort of thoughts on this would be there's some elements I like, some elements I would look to change to just try and help smarten it a little bit. So I find the budget versus the worldwide gross quite interesting to see which films were actually bringing money back against the budget that they were given from the studio. That's really interesting. I like all the detail about the movies and the hovering on the circles. That's really good.
Yeah.
I don't think the picture's the most flattering of J.K. Rowling. I must admit. And to be honest, I have an issue with the fonts.
Yeah, that's one thing
I
was
don't
going to
know
call
what
out.
you think on that.
Yeah, because we've got the Harry Potter logo font, which is fine, but then we've got this kind of italic font, and then we've got like a regular. I think maybe, I don't know if these are the same font, but one's in bold and one isn't, and there's just a lot of different kind of fonts going on, which I think spoils the design a little bit.
I think so, and I think trying to limit the number of different fonts you're using, or certainly if you're using different fonts, don't change the weight of them so much. I know this person. I don't want to butcher his name like you did. So I know he's used that italic font quite a lot on his visits. Yeah, Avinash. Yeah. I know he's used that italic font on a lot of his visits. I think it's a sort of a stamp of his. I find when it gets smaller, it's quite hard to read. So that designed by Avinash part is quite tricky to read on some screens. The other thing with the fonts is the fonts go right to the edge of the each section. And I think they just would the text just needs that little bit of room.
It needs
to breathe.
And on the J.K. Rowling section, I think in every other section there's a clear differentiator between the top and the bottom, whereas here we've got the text spilling over. And I think that goes back to the point you made with the Stranger Things viz, is that the last one we looked at with the Skeleton Lake, where you ran out of space and you got a tendency just to try and fit it all in, and not kind of break up the text anything. I expect this is what happened in this case, because he's designed the background and then maybe had too much text and just decided to leave it as it was.
But there's nothing wrong with just sort of trying to extend the size of the dashboard to help fit that sort of text in, or go for a lighter font, a thinner weight, and it might allow you to fit more text into there. But I think for sort of learning about the movie, the movies themselves, I think it gives you a little bit here on Harry Potter, and certainly when the movies were made, it looks like the last three were squeezed together because they were
getting too old, weren't they?
Getting too old. Yeah, that's what I was just about to say.
If you watch the first one, like Harry Potter, what's his name in real life? Daniel Radcliffe. Is it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
He's tiny. And then you look at him in like the last one, he's like a full-grown adult. It's quite funny.
So it looks like they did rush those in, didn't they?
Yeah, I do like the interactivity. I like how you can hover over a year and you've got the highlights come up on the
absolutely.
It's just really nice.
Yeah, he's linked them in. I'm not sure about the sun icon flicking between twinkly stars and a white background. But
you mean this one?
Works. Yeah, have you clicked on that?
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay.
and then
Didn't load. Is it supposed to load?
I think that was it. I think it
Okay.
goes to the white background.
Right. Okay.
So for me, clicking it onto the white background, I find it easier to then look at what he's done rather than the twinkling stars behind. What I would do with this, if it was on a white background, if you flick it to the white background,
Yeah, sure.
it's I understand why he's used Kevin's sort of template for this.
Mm-hmm.
It's about novels. It sort of feels almost like a pamphlet sort of style. It looks almost 3D like. Maybe you could use some sort of shadowing on the bottom to make it look like it's standing up on a desktop or something.
Like
That
here,
might be
like
quite
on
cool.
these like sections.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just to bring a little bit of shadowing out, and then it would almost then help that 3D effect, and it looks then like it's meant to be a standing sort of piece.
Mm-hmm.
It
That would
might
be.
help. I
Yeah.
think that might help it stand out a little bit more rather than I get that you put the twinkling stars in there because it's all magic and it's Harry Potter and but I just wonder if it's from a Viz perspective, it works better without.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean the twinkling stars are great, but as you say, you can really, because we've got those two views, you can really see like the impact that background has. When you flick it away, I think it just, once you take away the back, that's the twinkling stars, it really just brings the viz to the forefront, right?
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of good stuff in here, but I think there can be some improvements. Just little changes will help improve it.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, next one is Daisy, and she did a viz on Derren Brown. You a fan of Derren Brown, Sam?
No.
No, me neither. I mean, I've got nothing against him, but he terrifies me. Like, I remember when I was at uni, occasionally he does these live shows that he used to anyway, and he did one where it was like a live seance. Think Big Brother, but it was it wasn't Big Brother, but there's all these people in a house and they did a seance, and I'm sure it was all it was all fake, but it was absolutely terrifying.
I worked with somebody who went for an audition to be on his show, and she had to go along, and they had to see how susceptible she was to being hypnotized.
Right.
And she didn't make it onto the show because she wasn't that susceptible. So that's probably about as much dealings with Derren Brown as I've had.
Okay.
I think I did see a few early shows. I wouldn't be able to name them from this biz.
I think I've seen Trick of the Mind. I mean, I know my husband doesn't like him, so he's not into that kind of stuff. So I know that, like, generally speaking, it's not something I would watch. But I'm pretty sure I've seen Trick of the Mind, or at least some of it. And I think these are the live. Yeah, so this is the shows where he's done them to an audience and they call out people. Which probably what your friend was auditioning for.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. It's a nice viz though. Sort of to actually focus on the viz. I quite like it's the timeline at the top. That's quite nicely done. I think it's just underneath it, the bars of the sweeping lines to the average IMDb rating. I think it just needs a bit more space for the labels. The labels are being slightly cut off by the bars, or they're just too close. It's just that little bit of space again, to really sort of make it work a little bit nicer, I think. I guess we would need to call out where the image is from. Because I doubt Daisy's taken that photo herself.
Well, you never know.
She may well have done, in which case I apologise.
No, I do. I like the way that she's done this with the picture though, because
it's nice.
It really brings it to life, I think.
It's a nice composition, isn't it? The font of the title is really nice. I wonder if sort of the body copy font, so the sort of the introduction font and the title, the labels on the bars, that font could change because it's the same font. I wonder if sort of a thinner, lighter font, sort of what's the font I'm trying to think of? Roboto, that sort of font, which is similar but lighter, might work better.
Yeah,
it's very heavy.
It's bold as well, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking as well, like with you've got the timeline at the top, but there's no link between the timeline and the shows.
Yeah.
So I mean, I wouldn't know like when these were recorded, which one's the newest. They're ordered by the popularity. But it'd be quite nice if there was a highlight action. So when I highlight over a date, it tells me the show, and then that's, for instance, Trick or Treat, and then Trick or Treat will highlight in the bars.
Yes. Yeah. Just wondering what that space is on the tooltip underneath, if there was something that was going to pop up. But...
Yeah, I'm not sure. They're all like that.
Yeah. And if you,
it might be. I never know. I'm scared. It's Darren Brown. Anything could happen.
But it's a well laid out viz. I think the black and white sort of theme works well with, and the greys. It's all very nice.
Yeah. No, great.
Yeah.
No, good job. Okay, next we have Daria, and Daria looked at Jinn, which is the smokeless fire spirit of Islam. And this is another one I hadn't heard of before. What about you?
No, I haven't heard of this. No.
So this is really interesting. I spent a lot of time looking at this viz and just like digging into the story and what's Jinn all about. So I really like what they've done here in terms of like breaking down like who believes in it, where are they from, and it just, digging in, asking questions of the data and answering them through the charts.
Yeah. I hadn't heard of this, so it's new on me. So it's interesting to know sort of how far spread it is across Asia and even Europe. I think Turkey's on the list somewhere. I think that was that this?
Yes, Turkey's called out as well as being
that's it. Yeah,
exception.
So it was. Yeah, and I think it's really nice the way that I think the color consistency is good. I like the analysis that she's trying to produce here. I think for me, I really struggled to read that main font. When I first saw it, I thought it was an S, not a J at the top.
Okay.
So I find that quite tricky. I get why it's used and I get the styling, but for me, I find that quite tricky to read, especially the subtitle, the Smokeless Fire Spirits. That's so small with that difficult font. I find that tricky. The rest of the fonts though are fine. The rest of the fonts really work. I like the way that you're using the bold and to pull out the key sort of messages like we saw on Turkey. That was really good as well.
Perhaps I'd keep the header as it is, just for the design impact, and then change the font for the subheader and this one as well. Yeah. Because we do describe what Jinn is. So if you can't read it at the top, you get you'd find out what the viz is about quite quickly.
You do get it as, and that's where I sort of picked up what it. As you read through. So
so there's a lot in here. So I just go on along for a while, which is good. But what personally, like I say, what I really liked is the way that there was a question posed and then that would be answered with the data, which it's like a really nice storytelling technique.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the map is a little dark. I think that could possibly be lightened up or put a border around it, around the countries. Oh, I like the way they've put in a conclusion as well at the bottom. That's really good. So, from a perspective of, I say this is probably a conversation for outside this, but Iron Quest was sort of almost a practice ground for Iron Viz, wasn't it?
Yes. Well, it is.
I think it was. Yeah,
it still is
it
now.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So sort of looking at this from an Iron Viz perspective, I think it works really nicely from an introductory sort of element at the top. Then you get your analysis, and then you're actually calling out a conclusion of what should you take away from this. So I think from an Iron Viz, Iron Quest sort of side of things, I think it's really sort of well thought out in that way.
Yes.
So yeah, rather than just displaying a chart on a certain topic, they've actually taken the time to really sort of try and take you through the data. So that's really nice.
And that the reason I called it out with the question, then answering that through analysis, is because we've seen that in the top 3 IronViz winners this year. They've all applied that same technique. And it's got them onto the stage, right? So it must be good. So there's a couple of things I would change, and if this was an IronViz entry, I might be providing feedback. It's that might give the Viz a little bit more space. If you notice that the charts and the text almost go right to the edge on both sides.
Yeah.
So I'd make it wider or bring that in slightly, just to give it more space to breathe, and make sure we've got a consistent ending, like on each side, so like not a border, but just making sure we don't go any further outside of that, like margin.
So
margin, that's the word.
So where you've got highlight country above, the box goes a lot further across than the text above and the text below. You want it to all stop at the same point, and that's quite easy to do in Tableau, isn't it, with using turning on grids by pressing G when you're on building a dashboard. You can then get a grid lines appear, and you can see where your text boxes are lining up.
Exactly. Something I spend a long time fiddling with most of my visits, and tweaking slightly, and it gets to the point where I have to nudge them using, like, you can do the exact XY positioning. It gets to the point where if I use my mouse, it always goes too far, like one way or the other. So I end up just pressing the up down arrows on the left hand panel just to get that right.
So in the top chart, what's the box that's going from 50 to 88%? So the box behind the bubbles, there's a blue box.
Good question.
Is that mentioned anywhere, what that is? Is that why would we be focusing on those parts? So
it looks like it's more than 50%. I'm just reading the text to make sure it's not called out there.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know.
If you hover on it, I've got my second screen on. If you hover on it, it does say 50%. It's So I don't. Yeah, I'm not sure. And it says maximum 87%. So
I'm not getting it. Okay. It's It's a
so
reference band, isn't
it? So it's a definite thing, but I'm not seeing why it's there. So as a bit of feedback, I would probably put that where you've got the country and the regional average, the little labels are to the top right of that chart. I would probably put a little blue box there and call out exactly what that is, because we're struggling to work out what that band is for.
Yeah. Agreed.
But yeah. What do you think about the next one, where the chart goes all the way to 90%, or it could go to 100%? Yeah, all the circles are right down, sort of 15% max.
It's interesting because I was just thinking that we're looking at the other one, because obviously you've got the top one that goes to 90%. So that one's looking at where is the belief, and then the next one is where people seen a Ginny. I hope I'm saying that right. Personally, I would shorten that axis. Whether that's right or not, I don't know. But I think you'd see the distribution better if you stretched it out.
I'm thinking on the fly here, but I think you'd you definitely would see the distribution of those sort of circles and bubbles a little bit more. But as charts as a three, all together as a trio, you can see the first one says which countries believe in a jinn, and then you can see the contrast to that, to actually how many people actually have seen a jinni, and it's a lot lower. So belief isn't necessarily
true.
In line with actually seeing a jinni. So maybe,
but then,
maybe
and then you've got the last one where do people consider appealing for aid for jinn acceptable, which is a little bit higher again.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm trying to use this button, but it doesn't appear to work, the question mark. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be like a tooltip or something. Oh, hang on. I lie. It did work. It's just slow.
Okay.
Yeah, no worries. I do like this how to read section. I might just call it out as a how to read and make the text bigger. Just the text on here is really, really small. And I'd probably move it over to the chart rather than having it on this side. So maybe just put it above this chart.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that makes sense.
But I do like the concept. I'm a big fan of how to read.
Yeah, it looks nicely put together. It's just a little small, and as you said, it's too far away from the chart it belongs to. I'm just trying to work out what it's actually telling us.
We've got the bars are showing if there's a Siri order or not.
Okay.
And then you've got the distribution of within those. So for each of the series, the Sufi orders, where the countries are.
Yeah. I think is there a? No, you can't hover on those circles, can you? I think. Or can you?
I'm struggling to.
Because they highlight the map. There you go.
It would be nice if there was a tooltip to show what country that is as well. Oh yeah, there is.
Yes.
It's just slow. Yeah. Sorry. I don't know if there's something wrong with Tableau Public, but it's taken a few seconds for these to come through. It's saying, why is this not working?
No, I like that. Let's blame Tableau Public. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all Tableau Public.
Yeah, I think so it's well put together. I think I like the layout's pretty good. There is a lot of text on it, so it takes a lot of reading.
With the conclusion, would you break that out so the text didn't go all the way across the screen? So would you break it into two, maybe like here where you've got the text ending halfway?
Yeah, I think with what we were saying with building sort of space down the margins, you could almost bring that conclusion to the same width as that the initial intro text, the quote at the top.
Yeah.
So the quote at the top is very sort of indented from the margins. So maybe you could mirror that sizing down the bottom of your conclusion, and that would give a nice balance to it, I think, overall. I don't know if other people do this, but I tend to, when I put my sort of vizzes together, I tend to screenshot them, take the screenshots out, and then sort of look and see how it looks as a whole, as a whole piece. So if you were to print it on a wall, if it was to be featured in a Tableau conference in the Viz gallery, how would it look? Is it balanced? And I think down the bottom of this viz, it's becoming a lot tighter to the margins. The map is tight to the margins. The text is tight to the margins, much more than it is at the top. So maybe you would look at that and sort of spend a bit of time sort of maybe centralize that conclusion section and bring it in from the margins, centralize the little bit of text right at the bottom to explain where the data's from. But it's good that that's included.
Yeah, I agree. It's really hard to get that right, because especially when you're doing long form, because you're design like bit by bit in terms of what you can see, and in Tableau you can't zoom out, so you can't zoom out and see how that looks, unless sometimes you can do it in presentation mode, but if you've got a really long viz, then it goes really small and you can't really see. So I'm forever like taking those images out and just seeing how it looks, because you might build something that you think when you're designing it looks great, and then you look at the image and it just looks terrible when you look at it all as one, right?
Yeah, I've just seen there's a little note saying click on an order in the bar chart to filter the map. So there's some action there that we haven't found.
Okay.
So there's some. Oh, I thought it was bubbles, but yeah.
So it did change.
Did it? Okay.
It did.
Yes, I'm looking at my own screen. If you click on a bubble in the so those coloured bubbles, then that will focus on that. There's a action there.
Yeah,
it's hard to click on those buttons.
It is. Yeah, I think
are they behind the bar?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got to really get it on the edge. Yeah, I'd probably swap those.
Yeah.
Over.
So that would be some feedback then, is to swap those the dual axis over. So you bring your bubbles to the top, so then the action that you're expecting to be used is a lot easier to be selected.
Yeah, it's an interesting way of showing it, because it's not like a chart combination you see very often.
No, it's not. No, it's
yeah. All right, great job. Next we have Dawson, and this is looking at Dragon Ball. Do you know much about Dragon Ball? I was going to ask you this in every single one.
I know a little bit about Dragon Ball. So I had a housemate who was obsessed by Dragon Ball Z. So I know of a couple of character names. I know who the powerful one is. I don't know what the heck they were doing in the cartoon, why they were going around fighting each other. But,
okay.
So
I know nothing about Dragon Ball. So no.
Yeah, so I know there's a character called Goku, and I think he's in the top middle there, the one in the orange pajamas.
Yep.
And then there's somebody called Vegeta, and then there's somebody called Piccolo who's green. That's all I know. Which is actually quite sad that I know that much. But hey, I've never really watched it, other than sort of over the shoulder when my housemate had it on.
Yeah, it's funny. When I saw this viz, I messaged Zach Balders, and because I know that he's mentioned Dragon Ball before. I was like, "There's a Dragon Ball viz. You need to go and check it out."
I think there was a really terrible film about Dragon Ball Z. Anyway, yeah, that was a really terrible film. Right, so Goku versus everybody. Explore matchups against the universe's strongest Saiyan warriors in this power level comparison dashboard. Cool. So I like the images.
Yeah, we're matching them against each other, right? That's the idea of this dashboard, is to almost pair them up and look at their power levels and qualities.
It is, but how do you pair them up? That is my first question. There's no sort of introduction to how you're going to use it. I like the images because the images tell me what these characters look like, and if which I'm not an expert on this in any way means, it's helpful to be able to actually sort of understand this. So I assume you click on the characters to.
Yes, so let's click on Goku.
Yeah. And that power level, I cannot read that, but do you see the tooltip?
So the power level is insanely high. I don't even know. I don't even want to attempt. I will get that number wrong if I try and say what that is. But it's
so
more than 1 trillion, I believe.
Is it? So I suppose, is it necessary to show it in that way? Would it be better to give it its proper suffix if it is trillion or zillion or whatever it's supposed to be?
I wouldn't like to say that. We get it. Like, Goku is incredibly powerful.
but the problem is when you hover on the different character, it's really hard to tell if there's more numbers in the next one or less numbers.
Yeah,
you have to sort of count the numbers.
Yeah, you need that.
Trust the fact.
You need that suffix, like or the word, like million, trillion, whatever it is. because those numbers aren't easy to consume.
Right.
So they're interestingly, Goku is the most powerful, yet, and they do really kind of follow an order, but then we've got, so I would expect the most powerful to be top left, and then kind of flow, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but they're kind of in order.
I think it would help to call out the ranking next to them. So give them a number 1 next to them, number 2. Yeah,
or at
just
least
to sort of show that there's
order, but they don't, because I mean Goku's in the middle of the top row.
Yeah. The pie chart's telling us how many characters are in each version of Dragon Ball. So that's sort of a breakdown. There's nothing wrong with that, I don't think.
We've got, I don't know if you're looking at my screen, but there's a vision tooltip that shows the character pictures in the tooltip.
Yep. I can see that.
Yeah.
What's the chart on the right hand side? So the bars, how does that changes when you've selected
if I click
somebody.
Goku.
Yeah.
I think you're supposed to click an opponent, so I mean he wouldn't be fighting himself. So.
Oh, so we've got no bars. That's why.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's great, King Kai.
So what does that mean,
so they've got each bar shows whether it's a saga or a movie.
Yeah.
Assuming when they've battled. I don't know if that's the right terminology, but when they faced each other.
Yeah, so and the colours are to do with whether it's movies, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT. Okay, get that.
Yeah.
So is there
I think it needs a title. It needs a title. I think that's what
I think I was going to say, I think what we're getting to here is it just needs a little bit of explanation of just help us understand what we've got to do to get these two characters to sort of face off, like it says at the top, and sort of explain what are we seeing then when in this chart, because it's not immediately obvious.
Yeah. And there's a lot here as well. So I mean, these charts are really long. So I don't know if this chart on the left changes if I make a different selection. Don't think it does. No, I think this section on the left is purely about the different sagas or movies, and the length of the bar.
Characters. I think there's text at the top that we're missing. Is it when you hover on the? Oh.
Yeah, so there's no number. I don't know what the number is. I think it's number. It can't be number of characters because there's 5 characters in the tooltip, but only number 4 shown here.
Okay, so we need more explanation. So essentially what we're saying, more explanation is what we're seeing. They've put together some charts with some information on Dragon Ball Z, but help us understand what it is. So Goku's max power level, what is this telling us? So does his power increase as he, okay. The bottom right chart, is his power increasing after he's fought people? So you can see Piccolo's energy, and then has he taken Piccolo's energy? Is that what happens? Does he absorb it? Is that what he does? He defeats them and then takes their energy? I'm not really sure. I'm trying to cast my mind back to what my friend used to watch on TV.
But is that how his power level does change?
Yeah, it sort of increases for some reason.
Yeah, there's a slider, is there?
Is 2.
There's a slider too, which I don't know.
Right, we need a how to
Yes,
read.
I think just some more
Okay.
explanation about what it's showing. There's a lot of grid lines, which I think appear when you make a selection, because you initially have that chart. It's like you've got everything showing, and then you can filter it down to the different opponents. I'd probably get rid of those. The
Yeah, so
key to the colors is shown in the header, and I think with that against the orange, I almost missed it at the beginning, so I'd put it down in the viz somewhere just to call that
keep
out.
the header clean.
Yeah, I mean, you could even get away with not using it at all, and just using the pie chart, because you're labeling the each of the sections on the pie chart with the color.
Yeah, that's no, I like that. I don't think it's going to take much to turn this into something that we're finding slightly confusing to actually being able to understand it. Just a little bit of introduction text to say what you got to do, labeling just above the charts, just to give an explanation of what they're telling us. But also, when we're seeing characters on bar, you know, on the text, I don't know what that's really sort of giving us. Why do we see, when you hover on Dragon Ball Z in the pie chart, why do we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 character images if there's 448 characters?
You mean you want to see those 448 in
no,
I
just don't think you. Yeah, I just don't think you need to see those 5 characters.
No.
Or if you do need to, why do we need to see them?
Yeah,
Tell us.
what's special about them? I'm sure all the Dragon Ball fans are laughing at us.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. To be fair, we're laughing at us as well.
Yeah, it's super fun though. I do like the concepts and everything. Yeah.
No, I do. Yeah, and it's consistent with the colours, and the only thing, the other thing I would say is down the bottom. If you scroll all the way to the bottom where they put all the details of, it's hard to read it. It's
the font type and the colour. Make it quite difficult to read.
Orange at the bottom.
Yeah, but fair play for them to crediting where they got the pictures from. It's always good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I need to do some studying on Dragon Ball Z, I think.
Okay, next up we have a viz on the legend of the god turtle in Vietnam. And this is by Levi.
Of course, that one.
Yeah.
That god turtle.
Yeah, so this came through a couple of days ago. It was like quite late, and I really love this because again, it's something I've not heard of before. And I was chatting to Levi as well about it, and I thought it was really interesting.
I agree. Yeah, I think it's really nicely laid out. It's a lot of space to it. I like what they've done with the calling out the titles, the little grey gradient, not grey, yellow gradient behind them. That's a really nice touch. I like the images actually. They've got some nice images there. I don't like hiding the images behind the text in this instance. I want to see what those images are. It makes the text quite hard to read.
Yeah.
But I think it's really nice and really nicely put together as an initial sort of view on it. I would say that the font choice is very sort of tightly packed, sort of horizontally. I don't like that. That makes it quite tricky to read. So maybe choose something that's got a little bit more space between the letters, or just slightly wider font.
Yeah, I would say that at least the font is consistent. I think we've got a different font in the title, but I'm quite happy with that. But throughout the viz, the design is consistent.
The font does change on the bar chart labels, though. It's wider. It's not as tall and skinny. So yeah, just that attention to detail and that consistency would be good. But we sort of to learning about the god turtle, you've got the timeline where you hover and get the information from that. I think that's nicely done.
Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out what the colours mean, because we've got 2 shades of yellow and then the purple.
Okay.
I think so. I don't know. I think down here yellow is turtle or tortoise.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's consistent with the other ones. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I quite like that chart with the longevity or the lifespan of a turtle compared to other
Yeah.
animals.
I learned a lot.
I looked at that and I thought a flamingo that long, 60 years. No way does a flamingo live for 60 years, but obviously it does.
I learned a lot about turtles when I did my turtle viz with Kevin. So we did a deep dive into that was specifically green sea turtles. Obviously there's a lot of different types of turtles, but they do live a long time, despite being threatened, you know, in the wild for various different reasons. But I think even if you have these, I think the turtles we're referring to here are the much smaller kind of turtles that you'd keep as a pet. Those, I'm not sure, you know, what they're referred to properly, but I know they live for about 100 years, because I know of people that have had hand-me-downs of turtles that just, you know, that someone had and then maybe they passed away and then they inherited the turtle.
It's outlasted them.
Yeah.
No, so it's a nicely laid out piece. At the top, the sort of bamboo image is overlapping the border. I don't know if that was intentional, but and then
I do like this. I like the chart of the turtles, and you know the height indicates like I guess I mean I'm assuming it does indicates that the kind of prominence of that symbol and that they're highly associated with like strength, for instance.
Yeah, that's nice. And then other holy turtles.
Flying turtle, which I've never heard of.
It's a golden turtle as well. It's nice stories. I've never heard of them, and that's the really sort of interesting thing about this, isn't it? That you're getting these stories coming from all different parts of the world that we wouldn't necessarily have heard about over here in the UK. So it's nice that this sort of stuff is coming through.
Yeah, it's great.
I think the fonts are good. Font choices are good. It's clean. It's nice.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah, definitely. All right, next we have Jackie, and hang on, I don't know if that's the right biz. Yeah, so this is the Isabella Stewart Gardner heist in Boston. So Jackie's from Boston. So I think this is a famous local story.
Okay.
It reminded me of the what's it called, the Hatton Garden heist, except they got caught.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So we've got this great timeline.
Yeah, this is.
It talks about like what happened. So we've got the theft in 1990.
Yeah. So immediately with this viz, I was just drawn to those big numbers on the left-hand side. That whole sort of left section really works nicely for me. I'm not quite sure why they chose black and white, but it still works. Big bands, big numbers telling you exactly what's happening. Largest single property theft in history, and then you can flick through that by turning the pages on it, and I think that whole left section works really nicely. I'm not so sure on the right side, I'll be honest with you, because it looks like a timeline, but when you flick through the pages, not everything is a timeline, but they show up in this timeline. So we get to points where, as you go through it, I think you get to bits that are painting,
like more like facts and things.
Exactly. What was stolen, and then does that timeline not become a timeline? But I can understand why it's being used. So it's just, I wonder, do you know what, thinking about it, did you probably have seen, there was a viz by Kelly Gilbert who did a Fitbit viz, and there was a timeline around it, and it went around the sort of edge of the viz. It's really quite smart, but it was a timeline of when she was choosing to change her Fitbit colours, but essentially the bubbles were layering on top of each other around the timeline of the viz.
It rings a bell.
If
I'm going to
I wonder if something like that might be useful. Okay.
Kelly Gilbert?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's her.
Yeah, that's her.
They go on the right-hand side, top right. You favorited
it. I do remember when you said about changing the colours of a Fitbit band. I remember because I have a set of different Fitbit band colours, and I don't change them often enough.
Yeah, so I just wondered if I know there's a lot more sort of points here on this one. I just wondered if sort of layering on, so you get to a point and then it tells you, layers on the number of artifacts that were stolen, or I don't know, rather than stepping through a timeline that's not a timeline. I don't know.
It's interesting because I was giving some feedback to Eve Thomas yesterday. She published a viz on the Nobel Peace Prize, which I've seen, which had a timeline, which it didn't call out every single year, but it called out dates where something significant happened with the Nobel Prize, or maybe it was awarded to a woman, for instance, or there was some controversy or something like that. But it was still a timeline because you still had all the points, but they had a dot, but they may not have had anything associated with them. They were just a year with no further information.
Okay.
And I was talking about how perhaps you could encode the points so you kind of knew what you were going to get before you clicked on it. So if it was going to be a fact about a woman, then maybe you could colour it a certain colour. If it was just a general like fact about something that was going on at the time, maybe there was a war or some reason why the wars didn't run, then you could colour it a different colour. So you kind of got, so if you were interested in learning about the awards that are awarded to women, that you'd know which ones to click. But it was, so if we go back to Jackie's, I guess it starts off as a timeline. I don't know, you can't go back, right?
No, I don't think you can.
No, but if, so I mean, that's something to think about. But maybe because it does start off with a timeline and it stops because it's essentially 81 minutes, right? And then we don't know what happened because these artworks are still missing. So it could be that the timeline stops about here, and then maybe we just have some, well, I don't even think this bit will be required. If I get this, I get why she's done it. So I get the sense that she was trying to say that, it's the timeline's still continuing because the things haven't been found yet.
Right? Because it's absolutely.
But maybe there's some way of stopping, just splitting the two out, so saying like this is what happened like the day that they went missing, and then this is kind of just supporting information.
You could so you could do sort of that top section, as you said, sort of showing what's happened in that 81 minutes that we know that has happened across the timeline, and then underneath you could sort of lay out what artworks were stolen. There's 13 we know, so maybe you could have some icons that you could sort of hover and find out about those artworks. maybe they could find some newspaper articles or something, like images of newspaper articles from back then. With, you know, sort of talking about the actual incident or conspiracy theories of where they might have gone. Do we get that at the end? I'm not sure.
It's interesting because so we get to down here 2:40 a.m. so it goes back to a timeline again, so ignore what I just said. Sorry, Jackie. And then because I think there's a middle bit she's saying, okay, they stole these things, let's pause for a second and explore what those things were, and then kind of complete what happened on the day. So maybe, I don't know, maybe there's a way of combining all the timeline points together and then separating it out with what was actually taken and some interesting things around that. Or I do like I like the concept about turning the page, getting a picture, seeing that move. I do like that.
Especially I do like the left-hand side and the sort of impacting. It's sort of wondering what would it be like if you just got rid of the timeline completely. But I think it helps to have the timeline there. Just some sort of something to think about, I guess.
But no, I think I like the sources button as well. It's always good to see. Great work, Jackie. Next we have Jasmine, and this is looking at the descendants of dragons. I think this caused quite a stir on Twitter. Everyone was going crazy when they saw this one.
Oh, nice.
So I think this is a really nice design. I like the top section and she's almost gone. How do you say it? You know how to say it, Sam. This kind of
the neumorphic.
The morphic, that's the one.
Yeah, it's the neumorphic or neumorphism. Yes, she's definitely gone with that because it's got the light shadow. That's the easy way of telling it. It's got light shadow on one side and the dark shadow on the other.
Yeah.
That's obviously something that's come in this year. That seems to be a big sort of trend with the data viz guys. I'm going to be honest, I'm not entirely sold on it. But I think
you mean in general?
It can make in general, not in this viz particularly. No, I'm not picking the viz, Jasmine. It's just, So for me, those bubbles with lucky, noble, powerful, and prosperous. Is that prosperous?
Yes.
Propiterous. I don't know what that says. The dark shadows there are way too dark for me. For that neumorphic sort of style, it needs to be a lot sort of more subtle. You would also, you can just about see it on your screen. I can't see it on mine, where you can see they've got the light shadow. So that you do need that sort of softer grey behind it to help show those white sort of shades behind it, which is good. We've got a couple of different yellows going on this viz, I think.
You've got the gradient that's similar to the God Turtle viz we just looked at as well, interestingly. And then that's gold, that's yellow. Then we've got the text, which is slightly different again.
I would be tempted to line all of those up. Maybe pick the yellow that's used in the Descendants of the Dragons, or pick that colour and bring it all the way through. At the top, from the top. It's a nice design. It's laid out nicely. I like the design elements. I like the yellow box with the black sort of bordered box sort of overlapping. That's really nicely done.
Would you be inclined to change this to rounded edges? Because we've got a lot of, the circles.
Change what? Sorry.
The black box, because we've got a square box here, right? And then we've got the rounded edges on pretty much everything else. You know, you've got this chart here. I don't know if it fits. In my head, it should be like one or the other.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I guess the squareness of those boxes sort of mirror the top section with the descendant. You know, the top image is very square. So unless you sort of round that off, but yeah, I guess I agree with that. You could do that, see how that looks. Then you'd you'd round off that yellow box behind that as well.
So I was thinking maybe that yellow box could have the rounded edges like this one does.
Yeah.
Maybe you have the gradient as well, just to like bring that style in together.
Yeah. The chart is good. That works well. The colours are nice. They're not too in your face sort of bold colours. They're just sort of just about right, I think.
Remind me of the Google colours.
Do they?
I think they are the Google colours, actually. Yeah. Looking at the Chrome logo, yeah.
And so have you tried clicking the top arrow in the title?
No, let's do that now.
Because we learn a little bit about the dragon and.
Oh yes, I did this when I first looked at it. Yeah, so you've got the different like parts of its body laid out.
Yeah. I think that's quite nice. I hadn't picked up on that before, so that was something to learn. That was good.
Yeah. And then if these don't do anything, do they? They're just for show.
No you can highlight them, but they don't. Yeah,
they're not. Yeah.
And then
I like how she's called out the dragon in a different color. In this chart.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting. Like the story behind it, like if you actually like looking at the fertility rate and how people try and have a baby in the year of the dragon, and obviously that takes some planning. Because it's perceived as being so lucky, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Probably that had better fortune. Do you know what's Chinese horoscope you are, Sam?
I do. I'm a monkey.
Okay. Well, so you come in the second highest in terms of wealth.
Oh, do I?
I'm a rat, so I don't perform very well.
I was going to say, don't tell my wife. That's interesting how that sort of plays out. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see how. I mean, obviously the fertility rate has been impacted by like the birth control policies in China. But it's interesting to see how you're still getting those slight peaks in the year of the dragon.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not an awful lot of change on this. I think it's done really well.
I enjoyed looking at it. Yeah.
Really nicely. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, good job.
Yeah, good job. All right, next we have Jason, and Jason's looking at UFO sightings in the US.
There's always UFO sightings there.
This was a popular one, and I knew it would be. I'm all for it. I love reading about UFO sightings.
What is it with the US and the UFO sightings?
I don't
you
know.
never hear about UFOs in the UK, do you?
Oh, I think they exist. You have to seek them out. I watched a really interesting. You're going to laugh when I describe it, but I was watching a program on Netflix. It was about this is a while ago. Unexplained. Or maybe just been called unexplained mysteries and crimes and things that happened, and every episode was a different thing. And there was one about this particular town. I don't know where it was, somewhere in the US. Back in like the 70s, essentially a UFO had come down on this town and abducted people, and so these people could remember, right? They they saw a bright light, they got taken up into this ship, and then they got dropped back down somewhere in the town, but in most cases it wasn't in the same places where they were taken. But they were gone for like a couple of hours in most cases, but to them it was minutes or if seconds even, and they have no recollection of what happened.
Right.
And there was one lady, and she met somebody, she met another guy on the ship, and they didn't know each other at the time, but they met later, and they had this weird connection, because supposedly they both realized that they'd been abducted. It's very strange. And there was, I'm going off topic, but there was one, so all these people had these, the police were inundated with reports of sightings and bright lights in the sky, and it was all very crazy. And then there was one family, and I think it was like the grandma, the mum, and the child in the car. The grandma wasn't driving, it was the mum that was driving. They were driving down the road, they saw the bright light, and then next thing you know, their car's in a different place, or they might be in the same place, but they're back in the car, but the grandma's in the driving seat. The grandma couldn't drive, and that's how they knew that they'd been taken out the car. Something happened, which I don't know what, then put back in the car, but in the wrong place.
Okay, that's
just so weird. So weird.
Yeah, very weird.
Yeah.
Right.
So I can understand why you've got these peaks. So that's just by watching that program. Then the police got loads of calls, and what are the police going to do?
Yeah. So I like the colours choice on this. It's very sort of UFO aliens. I get that. It's nice green, and it goes nicely. The map is good. Do we get much information if you hover on the map? I
no.
think if you isn't it the where the date and time is on the right hand side? Doesn't that change? Does that change?
It did just change, but I'm not sure what I did. It does, yeah. So it's up. I've just clicked on one and it's updated. Yeah.
So okay, so you're getting the information coming from what you selected and the shape of what they've seen.
Yeah, I like how this has been done in almost in like the light beam, the different
yes,
like what it was that they reported.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's good.
Yeah. So then we've got this extreme chart, which is
there's a big question on this chart, isn't there? What happened? What's changed in 2005?
Was there a movie that came out?
Yeah. So what is there? Have they just started collecting the data in 2005, or is it just a complete increase in incidents?
Was it, or maybe was it because people got access to things like mobile phones with cameras, things like that?
Yeah, I don't know, because they've called it out a significant raise in number of sightings. Why?
It's very weird.
Why is that? Could they have done a little bit of digging into what that could have been caused by, and sort of explain that on here?
Yeah.
That would be something I would sort of ask about. I suppose with the map above, just sort of maybe we need to put some text to say click on the map, interact with it.
Yeah.
Because I think you can click on the icons that's coming from the beam, the tractor beam, from the little spaceship on the right.
Mm-hmm. To filter the map, yeah.
No, so I think those icons filter the stream chart or highlight the stream chart, but they don't do the same on the map. But it would look like you could do that.
Right, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It'd be good if it did for the map as well.
Yeah, I think so.
The data's there, I imagine.
Because we've got it called out on just above the flying saucer. It says shape sphere. So if you click on a sphere, maybe it should highlight all the dots that said there was a sphere-shaped flying saucer.
I'm not a big fan of the labels on each point on this. You only see them when you interact with it. I mean, personally, I probably label maybe the max and the min, but not every single.
Yeah, you don't. Do you need to know to that detail? Probably not. It's more of an impression of are sightings increasing or decreasing, isn't it? And that's sort of the profile of the chart itself. So a max or min would be just enough, I think.
Yeah, I'd reduce the percentages down and remove the decimal places. I don't think we need it down to that level of accuracy.
No, you're probably right.
But
yeah, I was going to say the color choices though are still. I think they're pretty good because the tempting thing with discrete colors in this way is that you go all around the color wheel. You go, I'll pick a red, I'll pick an orange, I'll pick a green, I'll pick a blue, I'll pick a purple. So they're all distinct from each other, and they just look horrific. So I quite like where they've sort of stuck to just picking some greens, picking some blues, some blue greens. So that works really nicely for me.
Agreed. And then I really like sense. I agree, because it's hard to get that right, because quite often you find yourself then picking colours that are almost the same. But I think the way they're laid out and the colours that have been chosen work really well, and there's no they're ordered anyway, so you know light on the key is at the top, so there's no question that green is for light, you know, and that green is a diamond, for instance.
So how about this might not work, but looking at the profile of that stream graph, if you flipped it 90 degrees, so it went small from the top to wide at the bottom, and then stuck a flying saucer at the top, would it look like they're beaming people up? Would that work?
No, it might look, because the profile, it reminds me of like a narwhal, like with the long tusk.
Coming out of the water. I just thinking, because it's a fun sort of viz because of these icons and what they're doing with the tractor beam sort of imagery. I wondered if there was something you could do in that way.
If I'd actually
make it look like it's.
I agree. What I'd be inclined to do, and this is a really silly thing, but is rather than having this just as a rectangle, to have it as a more like triangular shape, so it gets wider as the light comes down. Just to increase that effect. But I keep wanting to say I really like the marginal histogram. Like, big fan of marginal histograms anyway.
They work really well for things like sightings. So I think Eve Thomas used one at the bottom of her Bigfoot viz, and it's just sort of calling out the time of day and the year or the day of the month, whatever it is.
I think
it works really nicely.
With the Bigfoot one, inevitably it's going to be when people are out and about more. So during the summer, when everyone's hiking, funny enough, they see Bigfoot more often than in the winter. And in this one as well, like, it's summertime.
Well, it's the time of day, isn't it? It's 9-10 o'clock, so it's going to be that time of day when it's getting towards night time. They're going to think they're going to see a flying saucer, isn't it? It's not going to be
and not necessarily
1 o'clock in the afternoon.
I mean, I would question like the ones that are at like 1, 2, 3, that what those people were doing. They just had a bit too much to drink, and then
so sort of summer months in an evening, you'd probably be out and about and outside, and you'll probably see a plane fly by, and you go, I've seen a flying saucer.
I mean, to be honest, I always joke that we live in the countryside, and you can see it's really clear at night, and quite often you see things in the sky, and it's like, was that a plane? Is it a satellite? What is it? I always joke with my daughter, like, oh, there's a UFO, because effectively it is a UFO because it's unexplained or unidentified. Sorry.
They've Jason has called out sort of the max value on the sort of histogram outside. histograms, which is good. It doesn't need the label on every single one, so that's good. And I also like I think I do like the sort of the background color on the bar, on the rows, sort of alternating. I think that does help to sort of read it across ways. Is there any interaction on it?
There is a tooltip.
Yeah, because if you didn't have those sort of different color rows, backgrounds, so the grey to the dark grey to the grey, then you might want to put a highlight action that goes up and across. So that if you highlight on a saucer, it would highlight the row and it would highlight the column.
Yeah.
Then you'll be able to find easily where you are and which one you're looking at, where it sort of meets the histograms.
Yeah.
That can always work quite nicely.
It's an interesting choice to choose to use the flying saucer image instead of like a traditional heat map, but I think it actually works. I mean, you still get the impact that you want.
I think so.
You can see that concentration around like the middle, as we just said.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. If it wasn't, I wonder. It might look a bit messy, but if it wasn't sort of built discreetly with pills, discrete and more continuous fills, then you could get the larger sort of flying saucer icons to sort of overlap a little bit, and then you get more sort of clustering sort of effect going on. That might look a bit messy, but it might be quite interesting. What I think I would quite like to see in this would be not just a title saying sighting time seasonality, just some text to say, tell us what you see here. Tell us that
calling out the key insight. Yeah.
Cool insight. You're more likely to see a flying saucer or feel that you think you see a UFO at this time of day on these months. Just call it out. It may even be that, is there any regional fluctuality in that data? Do you have that by region or by state? Is it going to change?
Yeah, because we can't. It would be nice if even if there was just a filter to, let's say if I wanted to look at my state if I was in the US.
Yeah.
You could have
because
that.
presumably, because if you go back up to the map, the information on the side there gives you date and time, so it all must be built from the same data set. So then you should be able to bring in location and say, or even shape. It might even be interesting to know: are you more likely to see circular shapes at this time of day, and formation shapes? You see them during the day. I don't know because so there's some other sort of avenues you could sort of explore with this data set. It's quite an interesting data set.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, good.
Okay. You okay to carry on?
Yeah. Let's keep. Let's keep going.
Okay, so we've got John and looking at Agatha Christie. Just one of we got about 3 or 4 Agatha Christie vizzes. It's quite interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Are they? I don't wonder if they're the same data set or if it's.
I think they are. Yeah. Maybe it's an easy accessible data set. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe, but yeah, it wasn't. I think I tweeted to John saying that I really liked the way he's the graphic design on the title.
Yes.
What he's done there, that looks.
I think it's really
very
cool.
Sort of serial killer murder mystery.
Reminds me of The Bodyguard when she receives those notes.
Oh yeah,
like
that's the sort of thing. Yeah, that's exactly it.
I like how I think it was you that called this out as well, but I like how he has the year of publication chart going all the way down the viz.
Yeah, that's good. I don't think that was me, but
all right, somebody called it out, and I think it does kind of frame it really nicely. Yeah,
that is good. Obviously he's got a consistent color scheme going through there, which is always good. So we've got three charts to the right of that year of publication. What are different coloured dots on that? Does it say?
So we've got it's novels, short stories, and stage works. I'm looking at the bar
So
chart.
it's from the bar chart.
Yeah, and I think they're distinct enough.
Yeah.
You can still see that stage works.
Yeah. Do they interact? So if you clicked on a bar, does it show you? Does it highlight all the? Because that would be quite useful.
No, that'd be nice if it did.
That would be quite useful, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I was going to say I think I spotted a null.
Yeah. No, I just saw that, but then I think I don't know if that's. It can't be the name. There must be a blank.
Yeah, it must be something in the data that.
Yeah, I was exactly why I paused then, because I was like, whoa. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm not sure if I like this chart in the sense of I think it's okay if it was a standard bar with the square edges, but we've got it's built with the lines, isn't it? And you've got the circular bit sort of overlapping on the wrong side.
Yeah.
So if there's an axis going down the middle, so the darker line is sort of overlapping, so that kind of impacts it a little bit. I don't think I like that. Maybe I'd make that as a standard bar, because then it would mirror what's the bars above.
Yeah, I think it would be fine as a standard bar.
I think
I know, but you lose it. Like so with the Tommy and Tuppence, you can barely see that one because it's hidden by the rounded part of the other ones, right?
Yeah.
The four. I like how the with the text flips. So you've got the text and the chart, and then the next one is the chart and the text, and then it goes back again.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And the alignment of the text to the line next to it is good. So right align, left align, right align.
Yeah,
that's good. And then publish. So year of publication and number of works. Okay. So it's quite interesting that there's been so many different publishers.
Looks like the Samuel French Limited only did the show, what do you call it, the
the Stageworks. Yeah, okay, I get that. And then novels have mostly been William Collins and Son, bar a few. Yeah, no, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I think it would be nice if you know the stories and if you know the novels. It would be nice to be able to pick out. So I don't think there's any interaction on. So I'd add interaction. So in the middle vids where you've got Hercule Poirot and Miss Marple, if you know these sort of stories, you might want to click on it and then see where do they highlight in the timeline. When were they published? When did when were those books wrote? Was Miss Marple written before Poirot or afterwards? That sort of thing would be interesting. If you're a fan of these books, you'd want to go into a little bit more detail in that sense.
Yeah, I mean Poirot and Miss Marple in the UK at least are massive like TV productions, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's good. What's the new information like?
Yeah, I agree. It would be nice to maybe even if you could just click on these and it would highlight on the left. It'd be nice.
Yeah, it's that sort of just to sort of lift it a little bit more. That would be good. Or if you really don't want interaction into it, then you could hover a blank over the top and take that away and keep it as more of an infographic. But I quite like the interaction on this, so yeah, keep it going.
Yeah,
I think the chart at the bottom, There's some if you hover on the timeline at the bottom, the dates, you get the plus and minuses and those sort of filter buttons.
Yeah.
I think you want to turn them off. It doesn't actually affect it. It doesn't do anything. So I'd want to just sort of hide those away, maybe.
Yeah. But no, I think other than that, it's pretty good.
Yeah, no, he's done a good job.
Yeah. Okay, next we have another John, and this one is looking at the plot to kill JFK. That's funny. I don't know if you've watched Umbrella Academy.
No, I don't have Netflix.
See, I'm going to talk about all these programs, but in the second season, which I watched recently, they go back in time, and it's all around the plot to kill JFK, and they try and prevent it. So,
okay.
Yeah, it was like when I read this viz, it was like really fresh in my mind because I've been watching a lot of that, and yeah.
Yeah, I quite like this viz. It's almost like an official document in the styling of it. It's sort of that sort of yellowy paper sort of look, and then it looks like it's just been the font is like it's been typed. So I quite like that.
Yeah. It's really interesting as well. I mean, I spent a lot of time interacting with this viz, and like reading about like the conspiracy, and it's a really interesting approach.
So the order of shots, is that interactive? Can you click on a fatal shot and it highlights it, or what happens?
Nothing happens.
Okay.
You can interact with hit and miss. Come on, Tableau Public.
Yeah, I'm playing Tableau Public. Yeah.
It does work. I'll do his thing in a second. Eventually, but yeah, it's interesting reading about the magic bullet as well, and kind of what happened with that.
Yeah. I would on that map with the magic bullet, I'd get rid of those the controls from the background image controls.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. They're not required, are they?
They don't. Yeah, they don't do anything. So, yeah.
I've killed it now, I think, with the interactivity.
Just there's a lot of text in here, so you do have to do a lot of reading to get it. But I think by and large it works because it is broken up, and that's good. It's not just one big solid block of text.
Mm-hmm. I'm just reading it, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm doing the same. You can edit that bit out at the end.
Yeah. It's interesting how the witness accounts, there's not much consistency, right? There's
no.
You don't know, or some people said it was here, some people said it was here, like, you know.
Yeah. There's a graphic underneath that section that is looks like it's the audio file. It's a shame that it's not. It's just an image, and that would be cool if you had. I suppose if you had that in a sort of data format, or if the image was a bit clearer, so you could actually read the text.
The text is it's noise threshold. It's really small.
Yeah. My old eyes, I can't read that. Nah,
I've got a big screen and I'm zooming right in. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's interesting. It's an interesting viz. I think, yeah, I like the styling on the viz. I think, how would you improve it? So I'm just trying to think.
But it's difficult because I think, and we need to discuss the bottom bit as well, but I think it needs the text, right? Because you need the background, you need to understand what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's not something you could just come in at without much explanation, right? So I think it's necessary. Like, whereas sometimes I'd say, reduce it down. I think it's important that it's there, and I think it's this viz, we may not have a great deal of data to show in chart form, in a traditional sense. Which is why I think the authors decided to use images and things just to enrich the viz itself. I think if we go down to the bottom, it does get a lot more analysis.
Yeah. I think it's a sort of overall impression. Everything is slightly tightly packed together, especially in this sort of section which you're on at the moment, where the order of the shots or wound severity. It's suddenly jumped on my screen. But I think it's just trying to build a bit more space, between little elements on the objects on the viz. So where we've got the dividing lines for the sections, just a bit more space between those sections, the pictures to the text next to it, those sort of things. Just for me, it's slightly too packed together.
We've got very tiny borders as well, so I think, like what I've said with a few others, maybe bring it in a little bit more.
Yeah, the thing with that is it's consistent with the spacing within the viz, which is quite good. But I think it's just too tightly packed.
Yeah, there's not much
for me.
Room for it to breathe.
Yeah. And I think that would help you sort of consume it and sort of find your way around what belongs to what a little bit easier when things are spaced out slightly more, because then they're more purposely placed together. I think that helps.
What I thought was really interesting was the chart at the end. So the public perception of how many were involved and how that changed over time.
Okay.
It's an interesting chart choice with the step lines. I think it works because you traditionally use step lines to show where something has stayed the same for a long time.
Yeah.
And in this case, that's exactly what happened, right? I might change the annotation slightly because we're using the annotations here with the sidebars or the one-sided edge, which almost end up looking like extra lines.
It looks like it's part of the chart, doesn't it?
Yeah, so probably change the styling of the annotations a little bit, but the actual lines, I do like how that works.
Do you think you need the labels on the ends of the lines? Because you've got the...
No, I wouldn't do both.
Yeah.
Either remove the axes and leave the labels, or...
I think the axes is the one that sort of gives it...
I think you need the axes.
Yeah, I think the axis is the one that needs to stay.
I think if we took the labels away, I might be inclined just to label the ends of the lines with the actual description, so that others involved, one man, and then you could do away with the colour legend.
Yeah. I would bring the annotations outside of the centre of the chart, I think.
Yeah, because otherwise it almost looks like a box. The green and the brown.
And then I think it would, if you had the bit more space to that bottom section, you could do that, and I think that would work better. And I think you need Do you? I'm just wondering if you need that sort of subheading or a little bit of body copy, a bit of text to say what's happening here in this chart. What do you get from it?
Yeah.
I know you've got the annotations and you can kind of look at the chart for yourself, but
it requires just that one liner to say that as time has progressed, more people think that there were others involved.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's it. And yeah, it's just interesting how that dramatically changed in 1976.
Yeah, and I'd be interested to know why in 2001 they just John decided to call out that it was the first time it was asked after 9/11.
Maybe because there's some conspiracies around 9/11. Maybe.
Okay.
That's a whole other conspiracy theory.
Yeah, well, that could be a follow-up viz. Yeah, I think just need to put in where you sort of some information where the data's coming from, maybe at the bottom.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Or where you've got trying to control your screen. I just realised I'm trying to scroll up. Yeah, that sort of thing, and what were the images used as well?
Yeah, I imagine there was a lot of data sources used for this.
Yeah, I'm really bad for that. I don't know about you, but I forget to, or I don't keep a list as and when I take them. If I do take them, like icons or images or whatever, I always forget to take the list, and then I have to come to the end of the viz, and I think, oh crikey, where did I get this picture from or something?
I end up reading a lot of things, and then when I'm doing like deep research on vizzes, and I did one last year on rap music, and it was all about the history of rap and the language, and it's like I did so much reading. It's like, where did I read that? And then looking through my browsing history to try and find these websites.
And it's so that's kind of a tip for people listening, is try and keep a file on the go as you start it. You might not use everything that's in that list in your file, but at least you've got it there, and it's less work at the end to try and put it all together.
I've done that many times. You have like an Excel, you can just dump the links in there and work a very short description of what it was. Maybe you got an image or a quote or something.
Especially if you're working on a deadline with an IronViz deadline or something, the last thing you want to do is you're coming up to, maybe you're in your final night and you've got to publish it before the end, and the last thing you want to do is to be going, right now I've got to spend an hour trying to pull together all my sources and do that sort of crossing the T's and dotting the I's sort of piece. So if you run that alongside as you're building,
hang on,
it's all covered.
And John has got a whole information section about all everything that he did.
We take it all back. Take it all back. Sorry, John.
Yes, I think we expected to see it at the end. That was all.
He's probably sat there when we were talking, going, "It's at the top. Scroll up." Sorry, it's been a long,
and it's
long
really
day.
Detailed as well.
Yeah. No, he's done exactly that. So to everybody else, do it like John.
And then pack it away in an information icon.
Yeah.
So just add space.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Next we have Can, and this is another Agatha Christie one, but this is different because it's looking specifically at murders.
I saw this one for the first time today. I really liked it, actually.
Yeah, me too. Well, it's quite grim, but They're
not real people, so it's fine.
No, exactly. It reminds me of Cluedo. Who did it, where, what was the weapon, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's exactly it, isn't it?
I really like how they've called out that poison is the most common murder weapon, and then in the next section is, okay, well, what poisons, and how many people have died, an unfortunate death by each poison.
Yeah, no, that's really nice. Obviously, the sort of framing of the viz is very nice. It's that sort of Judith style she brought in, and they've done that. But I also quite like the sort of subframing with the dotted lines. beneath, where you've got the total appearances and death count at the bottom. That works very nicely.
I like the annotations.
Yeah.
The way that they're styled almost kind of ties in with everything else.
Yeah. The icons are good, they're consistent, and the colour's consistent. So all in all, it's really, really well put together. There's on plunging to death on 5%, that's cut off. So that's a shame. So the text on that and the label, you just need to bring that up a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
So you can get that all in there, but yeah,
I like how the colours, you've got the gradients, so the poison is the deepest red, and then the other ones come down.
Yeah, no, good couple of charts. I don't think there's a lot we can sort of say on it.
No, I mean, it's the key points are called out and explained, and there's even more notes in the tooltip.
Yeah. No, good tooltips are consistent as well, aren't they? In their sort of design, so that's good.
Yeah.
Wonderful info.
No, really good job.
Yeah.
Okay, next we have Michael, and Michael's looking at UFO sightings. Going to be an expert on UFO sightings after this.
Yeah. Yes, so this is very stylized. I got so many different sort of things that came from this style, and it's not that it's wrong. It's just obviously Space Invaders, the big title. Yeah, boom, that makes you think it's the Space Invaders. But then the sort of the text underneath, the UFO sighting. For some reason, that reminds me of Men in Black. And then the yellow.
Oh, you mean the white text?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so and I got a feeling it was some movie posters with Men in Black back in the day used that sort of style writing, and then obviously the yellow color and the star background just reminds me of Star Wars. So it's all very very sort of on theme, I think, for me.
It's definitely on theme. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Good icons. They're consistent in the sort of icons that are being used. I dug into this the other day because I was interested in that bottom chart, the map.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know, but it's not an image. The lines are actually drawn in Tableau.
Right.
But you can't click on it. He's hovered a blank over it to make it not interactive. I just think that's such a shame because that's really clever tableauing.
Yeah.
To hide that away, and I get why you hide it away, because it's more about just the picture and the image and the linking. What would you need the interactivity for? But it's just such a shame because it's actually really clever. It's not just a stock image that he's picked up from somewhere. He's actually done that.
So admittedly, I thought it was an image and didn't think to check. I obviously the map is an image. You're not going to tell me that was built in Tableau, are you?
No.
I'm going to say, Michael, come on, where's your blog post? But no, that's super cool. So definitely, it would be nice.
Yeah, I don't know. What you would, maybe you could. I don't know. Maybe you could get those the labeling. The West 1,627 sightings could be broken down by state if you hovered on the lines. Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know if you had that in the data, but for me, it was just that was a bit of a shame that you don't notice that immediately. That the effort that he's gone to do that.
Yeah. The one thing that I would change immediately is this select by year. So I think the way it's a Tableau like thing, but the way you have this background that you can't really get rid of, it spoils the design. So I'd consider maybe, I don't know how many years are in here, but it's quite a few. Maybe trying to create a viz almost to use as a filter, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah. So There's one thing that really jumps out here, isn't it, on that line chart? What's happening in 2007?
This isn't consistent with the other vids we looked at, right?
I can't remember. No, I don't
I've
think
got it
was.
open somewhere. It wasn't. I'm sure it wasn't.
No, because you took the one with the stream chart.
Yeah,
Who was that?
Jason.
Jason, yeah, that was it.
So I've opened up Jason's.
Because that was 2005. There was sudden recordings, wasn't there? So I wonder what's different.
Yeah, it's just loaded up, but yeah, I'll come back to it. But yeah, that's that. I would love to know what that was. Like, was it just a somewhat data entry error, or?
Yeah.
I mean, actually, in fact, I don't think that these numbers are really, really low, right? Apart from in 2007.
Yeah.
We're talking 1 sighting, 2 sightings. I don't think that's right. Not if so. If you go back to Jason's, sorry,
you kind of think that that's more believable, I suppose, with the numbers.
Yes, if I go to, I'll get the numbers if I.
66,000. So Jason says 66,000 sightings between 1995 to 2019.
Yeah, and if I just click on light, for instance, in 2015, it was you've got over 1,000 light sightings alone, which is only a small portion of the different types, and you haven't got that huge peak.
Yeah, I think.
So I think
I think they're using the same data source as well. So yeah, I think they're using the same data source. So the source at the bottom of Michael, and then at the top of Jason.
Yes, they are. Yeah. So I think
something's not quite right somewhere.
No, it's strange, but yeah.
I wonder what's happening.
I mean, we just look at the numbers here. They can't all be in that 1 year, right? 2007.
But then, so Michael's has got more years, 1969 to 2019, whereas Jason's was 1995.
Maybe Jason just decided to include from 95. I don't know.
I don't know, but it doesn't matter. But either way, from a design point of view, rather picking which data is the correct data, from a design point of view, if you're going to have a big spike in 2007, such a big spike in that line, you'd want to call it out and understand why.
Yeah,
and I'd
question it, isn't it?
Why,
like,
yeah.
I mean, the one. So I was just going to say, when we were judging iron vids, one thing we were told to kind of check, or at least sense check, is that did the data look correct? And to me, that there's something wrong here.
There's actually So there's so that spike isn't one spike; it's three. It's 2006, 2007, and 2008. There's dots in the middle.
Okay, hence the ban. Yeah.
So so I was about to call out, why would you call out 2006 to 2008 when it was just 2007 that was the spike? But it's not. I was wrong. So he's calling out the right number or the right percentage. It's just investigate it. Why is that? Well,
yeah.
From an IMViz sort of practice point of view, you would want to explain that you can't just deliver a big spike in the data and not let it go unexplained. Yeah. I know it's UFOs, so they're unexplained, but you don't want to do that with the data on them.
Yeah, even if it's just something like the way that they reported them changed, and
yeah. No, this obviously the styling is really good. He's put a lot of effort into that, and I like the map sort of floating in the space background. It's like the others. Just need a bit of information on what are we getting from this.
Yeah, this is. I think it's very much matter of fact that this is data without any much like kind of further context or anything like that.
I suppose sort of from a review sort of point, you don't know what people are trying to get from these visits themselves. It might not be. So from taking my own personal viz that we looked at the start, I wasn't really looking to do any great deal of analysis because I didn't really have the data for it. So I was looking to push storytelling and a bit of design. So you might find that Michael here is sort of wanted to use this to just focus on design, playing around with sort of design side of things, and he's quite comfortable with doing his own analysis on other projects. So I suppose that's something to consider. What could they be looking to get from doing the Iron Quest sort of side of things?
There's something I really like about this, the light beams that are coming down the map is that he's there's each of the beams are sized by, I imagine they are, but sized by number of sightings.
Yeah.
So in the band, we're calling out California, Florida, Illinois, Texas, Washington, and you can see that they've got, like, so California, for instance, has got a wider beam, which I think is quite nice. But as you say, it's not interactive because it's not immediately obvious it's in Tableau. But I think that's quite a nice touch rather than just showing them all.
Yeah, so I think with that you might want to it might work if you called those out with a different color beam. If he's built it in Tableau, you've got the purple from the maybe the purple from the text at the top, the title. You could maybe do those beams in purple or make all the other ones purple, and then you can make that link so it's obvious which lines are California, Florida, Illinois, and Texas.
Yeah.
You could do that maybe if you wanted to go down that line.
Yeah. And one other thing I would do, and it's what I've said for most of these, is just give it more space, just space out the viz a bit more, give it more of a border.
It is, yeah.
We're going very close to the edge, and I think it's quite compressed where in between each section.
Yeah, it's a definite theme of some of the more successful visits that are posted on Tableau Public and Twitter are the ones that really have given a lot of space to what the topic and the layout, and they really go down well, I think. It's hard when you're sort of building and you're just going, right, I'm going to add this in now, I'm going to add this in now, and then suddenly you're just running out of space.
Yeah, but it feels wrong sometimes as well.
Yeah.
I heard somebody said, I think it was Will Chase, he's on Twitter, he does a lot of stuff in R. He said, think about the amount of white space that you want to use and double it, and then that's the right amount.
Yeah.
Because I think we're inclined to underestimate sometimes.
Yeah, and it just gives a bit of room, doesn't it? I think there's nothing wrong with sort of starting a build and then start finding that you're sort of trying to squeeze stuff in and then just stopping at that point and going, right, it just needs a bit more. Yeah.
Yeah, no, great job, Michael. Okay, next we have Pawan. This is looking at the elements of superheroes.
Now I've seen this on Twitter. It's very cool.
Yeah, so click me. Great interactivity there, the animations.
Yes, it is. So obviously I've put a lot of effort into the styling of this. It's very comic, which is perfect for the subject, isn't it? I think, you can read it quite nicely actually. I can understand what each square is, and there's a how to read section at the bottom that lets you do that. what I don't, and I did look at this earlier, and what I don't immediately get is the arrangement. So you've got when Spidey's saying "click me," you've got this arrangement that you've got at the moment, and it's banded in their I don't know, their affiliation to the Avengers, Fantastic Four, whatever.
Yeah.
But then when you click on Batman, what am I? It's then changes, or click on Spidey, even one of them.
I clicked both of them, yeah.
And then and then it changes into more separated, almost bar chart style, and I don't know why.
How to read.
I don't know what's the difference. What am I missing?
Okay, so let's just take purple because it's a big chunk. The purple ones are villains.
Yeah.
If I click on Spidey Dude, is it Spidey Dude? No, Batman, isn't it? So the villains are still separate. They're just the bottom.
Yeah. And I don't know why that happens. What's the difference? They're still all sort of sectioned together. But is that because it looks like a periodic table to start off with, and then we're breaking it from that to almost a bar chart?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah,
okay,
I think we're looking too much into it. I do like how he's done some encoding with the borders. I think that's really cool.
Yes, yeah, no, that is good.
And yeah, the how to read section is great. Obviously, a lot of thought has gone into this.
Oh yeah. I wouldn't know how he did the animation side of it at all. I think that's very cool.
Yeah, and we've got tooltips as well for extra context.
Yeah. So
is there a data source?
There's an information icon in the bottom right. So yes, data is data.world and deviantart.com.
Okay.
Background image created in PowerPoint. Well done. Good. It's clever.
Yeah, no, I like it. It's fun.
Yeah, I just wonder. Obviously, it's not a. It's a sort of practice in theming and design. I think.
Yeah.
It's not an analysis piece, but there looks like there's data there to be able to give an analysis. So, like power rankings.
Yeah.
Who's the most powerful? You're not going to spot that. And I know this isn't sort of the premise of what he's done here, but from sort of moving it forward, maybe you could bring that into the tooltips. And if you're on the villain section and you're hovering, maybe it could then give you the bar chart of where that villain that you're hovering on. So if you're hovering on Carnage, it then highlights Carnage in a bar chart with the other villains to show that he's, so powerful compared to the other villains. Something like that. I don't know.
That's
maybe
the next
be useful.
Version 2.
Maybe that's just I'm just sort of trying to sort of think of things that maybe would help to improve it. But there's not. He's got the design spot on, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Good. Yeah. No, well done. All right, next we've got Fritak, and this is looking at the spooky states of America. All right, I like this one. It's a lot of fun.
Yes, it is.
It's the hands.
Yeah, they're very good. I've written that down on my little notes. Hands. Do you like the hands? To be honest, I like the commitment to the consistency in the design. I think that's really good.
Yeah.
The color scheme, the playfulness and the fun nature of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I like the way I like the image at the top. I especially like the almost neon writing, the title writing, the scroll, the sort of script writing.
Yep.
The Spooky States of America. That's really nice. The only thing I would say is I think we've got too many sort of playful fonts going on.
Yeah.
I think the main fonts that's going all the way through I think that just would work better if it was just a crisp, clean, sort of standard sans serif or serif type font rather than a playful one. It would be easier to read, possibly less heavy. You could keep your titles with the same font as the one used in the title. That would call it out quite nicely.
Yeah. You mean so the actual body, change it to a more regular?
Yeah, a more regular sort of font, but then the titles of each section keep consistent with maybe the title of the top is, or even the subtitle. Pick two rather than using 3 fun fonts. I think, in my opinion. I think that would just make it a bit crisper. I know it's for fun viz, and it just would read easier. I don't know if you need the point percent on.
I was going to say that. Yeah, it's again, you don't need that. I think.
It's also there's a lot of percentages in the text, isn't there?
There is, yeah. I like. I mean, these are becoming quite popular. These I guess
little flows.
Yeah, the flows.
Yeah.
But I would question, apart from a design perspective, what it adds in this case.
Do you know what I would do to it? I think it would keep it nicely if but you could almost try and turn it into a web by putting a little bit of background image sort of going across those lines and making it creepy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a nice idea.
It's all very creepy, Halloweeny sort of feel to it at the moment.
You could get away with that.
You could get away with. I know a web's not really paranormal, but
it's Halloweeny enough.
I'm getting. You could do something with that to make it a bit more, sort of that it belongs there.
Yeah.
But I know what you're saying. Though,
what I was going to say was it would be nice. So we've got the donuts in the end and the sections in those donuts. The percentage of people that believe in each of those things. So maybe the lowest we could order them. So almost the bar version of the flow. So where the 17.2% would be the highest and the 57 would be the lowest, and kind of have them on a gradient.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I see. Yeah, that could work.
This chart here, the paranormal beliefs on the rise. I'm not sure why. We're looking at the difference in each.
Yeah.
The difference between the two lines, aren't we?
Yeah. So where it started in the year and then where it ended in 2 years later.
Right. Okay.
So, it's not the normal sort of thing you would do. Would be connecting those across the chart. Those green lines connecting the different different sections, because each vertical line relates to the question below. Aliens have come from modern times. Would you connect those? I don't know.
It's interesting. It's just an interesting way of showing it.
It is. Is it confusing? That's what I'm trying to work out. I think it's got something going for it at least.
Yeah, I think again it would be interesting to look into it a little bit more. And so, with ancient advanced civilizations such as Atlantis once existed, why is that suddenly increased by 17%? Is it because of a movie like Aquaman, for instance? Or is it something? Has there been a discovery that suggests that maybe that's true? Or I don't know.
Yes, that next level of sort of detail of the analysis, isn't it? This is presenting the numbers, but then why is it? So America is becoming more paranormal. It's down the bottom.
It's just, there's strange things that I mean, generally speaking, they're not things that would change. Your opinion of these things wouldn't necessarily change much unless something significant happened. Like, I mean, so for me, some people can move objects with their minds. I personally do believe that some people can do that. And it would have to take something significant to make me think otherwise.
Really?
Yeah, no, I do believe that.
Just like, should I let that comment slide?
No, I'm not saying I can do it, but I do. But I think I don't know. I think it's almost not in a paranormal way, but I mean, I think there's some people may have that ability. I don't know. I watched a lot of horror films and things like that. That's probably why. But I mean, like Bigfoot, for instance. Again, I think I'm looking too much into this, but I think it would take something significant for someone, if either whether you believe or not, for you to change your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. With all the percentages in the text, I like that they've called it out with a different colour. Would it work better for you if it was, instead of saying 24.1%, saying 1 in 4 people believe, or in sort of terms like that, rather than putting it in data terms of going 57%, you go, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess so.
3 in 5 people believe.
It's got. I mean, it's got in the prevalence of paranormal beliefs. It's got only about a fourth of Americans, and in brackets 24.1%. So it does do that to some extent. But I agree. It's difficult to consume some of them. But
I just think it's sort of over accurate. I don't know if it would work better by sort of saying. It does. I suppose it does in some places. More than 2 out of 5 Americans, 41.4% believe that aliens visited us. So do you need the percentages to go along with that? I'm not sure you do.
I don't know, especially not when you've got the charts as well, where the percentages are shown.
Yeah.
I do like the gallery at the end. I think
that's clever.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But I'd love the stories to go in with the gallery. I think they probably do, but they're not. You don't necessarily see it at the same time.
Yeah. And then you've got the little hand timeline at the top, haven't you, to flow through the years. So above there.
Yeah, with a little ghost.
But it's you don't know when it's going to stop. So you click on the hands on the. Is it you click on the hands on the end?
It's not.
Makes it.
I moved it before.
Move.
So
you click on the
jumps.
hands.
Yeah. But that doesn't update the text.
No, I think you need to click on the
ghost.
Click on the ghost.
But it does say that.
So then,
but it would be nice to have the image of that here, because that was I saw that image just now, but it's not. This is just an ever evolving role. Like.
I think is it on the yes, on the information icon, embedded photo gallery. He's taking inspiration from Ken on that. On his viz.
Yeah, but no, I do like the overall viz.
Yeah, it's good.
It's really
good.
It's,
I don't think I've got anything else to add on that one.
No, super fun. Okay, next we've got another Harry Potter viz. This one is, I think it's obviously looks like a newspaper. It's very much, in my opinion, like a bit of an infographic. There's lots of different information, like snippets, kind of in here.
Yeah, it's the facts, isn't it? It's lots of. I actually really liked this when I looked at this earlier, and the reason I liked it was because immediately you look at it and you think, oh my god, how many different fonts are they using?
Breaking all the rules.
And but so on the weekend I took my family to a place in England called Wookey Hole in Somerset.
I love Wookey Hole.
Have you been there? Okay.
Yeah, I used to go there a lot when I was younger. That's why I think I believe in all this nonsense.
Okay, yeah. So I took my kids there this weekend, and they loved it. It's going. So for people listening that don't know what the hell Wookey Hole is, Wookey Hole is it's like a series of caves inside the cliff, inside the sort of hillside, and there's rumours that a witch used to live in the cave, basically.
And the attraction there, that if they've really capitalised on this.
Yeah,
this
it's really
witch.
nicely done. Yeah.
I haven't been there since I was a child, but they used to have a mirror maze and things like that there as well.
So that was a lot of it was closed at the moment because of COVID-19.
Okay.
And in fact, the part of the attraction is they actually employ somebody to be the witch inside the cave. And
that's a good job, isn't it?
I know, but I think she's on furlough at the moment because of COVID, so she wasn't there. But anyway, there's a long story, but to cut a long story short, there's a little museum at the end of the whole thing. So you go through the caves and go into the building and go through a little museum and see what they found in the caves in the past. And part of the museum is this little place on that shows you how they were making paper. Around the site.
I vaguely remember this, yeah.
Okay, so on the wall in that section around paper, there was some deeds from back in the day,
right?
And this sort of A4 sheet, maybe bigger A3 sheet of like the deeds or the legislation or whatever it was. It was typed up in all different font faces, just like this is. And I was going to take a photo of it. I never did. I should have done. And I quite liked it. It worked really nicely. It was just quite funky, and it was completely not what we're told to do with data viz and using so many fonts. But so when I look at this and I think, okay, Hogwarts and wizards and sort of old styly sort of things, I can completely get where they come from with using lots of different fonts.
Yeah.
To call out different facts, and it works quite well in this viz because you read a certain section by you tell what belongs to that section by the font that it's in, and then the next font that's next to it is slightly different or completely different, so it kind of helps to section it, and that works quite really well.
Yeah, I do like the map. The map is really cool.
Yeah, the map is very good. It works quickly, and it's that is very good.
Yeah, and then we have the spells as well, which I really understand this. It looks like it's just a series of gifts.
Yeah, I must admit, I don't think it's needed. I guess it's bringing a bit of fun into it.
Yeah.
If it was use some spells, could he call out underneath what spell are they using in the gifts?
Yeah.
So that'd be good. I don't think there's any sort of interaction that we're missing on the main viz itself.
No.
Other than that one that brings in some images.
There's the map here, which
Yeah, the book covers. I think is it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. It's good. I don't think it needs color to it. I think the style is. Yeah, the style works.
Yeah, I do like it. It was a map that I really drew me in as well, because it's like, oh, okay, I'm curious to know, which are the most searched for books, for instance.
Yeah, it's a good way of putting that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about the Harry Potter spells, but it's interesting how each state is almost different. Anyway, yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Next, we've got Renga, and this is looking at the haunted places in the US. Sorry, just need to get some water. Hang on.
I was just doing the same thing. Okay. So haunted places in the United States top.
So we've got the heat map, or the density mark, looking at the concentration of the haunted places. Again, no surprise, it's pretty much where the people live.
Yeah.
And then we've got the radials looking at the number of places by city.
So the radial's quite interesting, isn't it? Because it's not alphabetical. Is it? So sort of going round the radial. Looking at the labels anyway, it doesn't look like it's alphabetical. So would you, if it is by location, but is Dallas at the top? That doesn't seem right in my head. Anyway, I'm just trying to work out what that order of the radial is, because looking at the density map, I would expect
it is
section of
alphabetic.
long.
It goes in the opposite. It goes in anti-clockwise, right? So A is here on the right.
Oh, I see. So it
took me a while to figure it out. Yeah.
No, you're right. Yes.
But no, I think it would be nice if the lines were that close to that place.
Yeah, because then you would see like a high or longer lines to the east coast, maybe, because of the high density of places and people, and so that might line up nicely, and then you might get a concentration of high lines over near California, if my geography's right. I don't know if it works in that way. I think the density map, I don't think it really works for me, because as you've said, it's because it's showing where the people are.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got that with a lot of the others as well, about like the UFOs.
Yeah.
But I think in this case, the density's been turned up so much that they all kind of all blur together, right? It's quite difficult to see where the hotspots are, and there's I don't see any interactivity where you can hover and see, okay, that's this city or this city.
So would you turn the density off and put it back to circles like we saw?
So,
with, I think it was Jason's viz with the dot plots. The dots. Sorry, not dot plot. Okay.
Or maybe even I mean they could, if seeing as we've got cities going. Yeah, they are cities, aren't they? Yeah, going around the edge. Maybe we could have a dot per city, and then size that based on the number of haunted places in that city.
Yeah, that would work.
Where does Louisiana's not there, which is quite. I don't know if you know about the ghost stories about Caesar and in New Orleans, but I thought he might do a viz on it, but he didn't. But that was bizarre. So yeah, side point.
Oh, so have you hovered on the bars, on the bar chart? Not on the bar chart. Sorry, on the radial bars. Because that, for me, I can't read the yellow.
Yeah, yellow is really bright. Yeah.
And it's still yellow even if you hover on a blue bar. So, or a blue line. Yeah. So Louisiana might be in there, but we just might not be able to find it. So maybe you could have a little search.
Well, it's not going to be there on its own. It'll be in New Orleans, right? Because it's the Louisiana.
Oh yeah, yeah. New Orleans is there.
Yeah. Medium.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. And then then that comes off to the bars on the left. City of Los Angeles has the highest number of haunted places.
I'd like the section on the left and the right to kind of blend together a little bit more. At the moment, they're very different. Like.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I'm just sort of. It's a bit strange that the annotation for the radial bar is sat with the bar chart for the states. So the annotation for the city of Los Angeles, is sat with the. I think I'm not sure that works.
With the arrow, yeah.
Yeah. And or if you're going to keep that there, maybe you flip the arrow so that it comes. So if you flip it on the sort of horizontal line, then it would be pointing up to that annotation, but it would then come. I think the start of the arrow would come from the bar, and it would run from the bar along the arrow and up.
Yeah.
Rather than sort of, I think it might just flow. The arrow might flow a bit better if you flip it over. What do you reckon about the colours?
I'm not a fan of the grey and the yellow background. I think the grey is it's not particularly, it's not dark, it's not light, it's one of those in between kind of shades, and then the yellow is really bright, and the contrast between the two I find quite hard on my eyes.
Right. Yeah, I think it is a little bit overpowering, that yellow. I think the black text on the grey background, I think that doesn't quite pop out enough for me. Just trying to think what would work better. It's tricky without sort of playing with it. I'd probably darken the grey at the back. And I would you desaturate that yellow or just lighten it? I don't know.
Yellow's a difficult one to work with, isn't it?
It's about sorry, we're talking over each other. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, as I say, it's an interest. Yeah, I think I'm going to say what you said. It's an interesting colour choice for the topic, because I don't associate yellow or blue, or with haunted places.
I think I can get the yellow, but I think that if you darken it, then it's sort of a bit more black, and it's a bit more sort of maybe haunted sort of colouring. I'm not sure about the blue, so yeah, maybe you go with green, or do a number of shades of yellow or something.
Maybe, I mean, even if we just use the colours that we've got in the density mark, use that range, I think that might work better. And then pick, I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking out loud.
Yeah. I don't know if this is their first first attempt at doing like a radial bar. Radial bars tend to be the first, when you're trying to do a radial chart, you tend to go to a radial bar to start off with. But if it is their first attempt, then well done to them for putting it together. I like the idea of putting something inside that. Like the map, I think that's a good idea. I just think they're sort of competing with each other. And then you've got the labels on the outside, which is also competing with like attention. It's like, what am I looking at?
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
I think that's, and then you've got the really bright color on the left side. So I suppose that's really the essence of it. Is there's so much here that you like, what am I focusing on? Am I focusing on the left? Am I focusing on that really bright map? But then we've got this radial chart going around, and it's got some, I think there's some labels there. They don't really pop out. It's that sort of hierarchy of where am I looking?
Yeah, I think as well, the radio, I think you saw us struggle to see if they were in order or not. I think personally, I think with radios, it's always good to start at the top. Like, just think of it like a clock. So start at 12 and go around clockwise. I think, personally, I think it's, in this case, it's a little bit odd or unnatural to start at 3 and work backwards. If you think about the alphabet,
I don't think that would have been a choice. I think quite a lot of the tutorials that you can follow, they just the sort of calculations start it there, then you have to sort of tweak the calculations to take them back up to the top. So I've had the same thing when I've used a radial bar. before, and then you follow like the tutorial, and then you do end up starting on the right hand side of the 3 o'clock position.
Okay.
And then you have to play around, you know, you have to work out which calculation affects it to switch it back to the top, and it can get a bit annoying.
Yeah. I think as well, they work really well for like looking at time of day. So what time does something occur?
Yeah.
In this case, it's less intuitive.
Yeah, which is where we started when we're saying, well, maybe the order of the cities could be with where they are particularly situated on the map.
Yeah, but I appreciate that'll be much harder.
Yeah.
To do.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I don't want to do that. Somebody else.
No.
What about some sort of introduction about what are we looking at? I know we're looking at haunted places in the United States, but what are we trying to get from this?
Yeah.
There's not a lot of text there to tell us.
And what are these places? Like I'd like a breakdown. Are they like buildings? You know, landmarks? Like what? It'd be nice, quite nice to see another level of detail rather than just the place.
Yeah, so there's only 2 places where it says what they. But you know, for me being from the UK, I wouldn't have got that these are cities and not states or counties, other than I read that the city of Los Angeles on that annotation, and then if I look really closely at the top in the grey, there's the 3rd line down says haunted places in the city. So I think that needs to be called out a little bit more for just the general audience. Not obviously Americans will get all this quite straight away.
Yeah, and also it would be nice to know what they are. So if I was from Los Angeles and I was interested that there were 61 haunted places in Los Angeles, my next question is, well, where are they? What are they?
Yeah. The bar chart on the left's quite nice though, and it's nicely formatted.
Yes.
Yeah, it's.
Yes.
So there's this sort of a little mix. There's stuff that can be improved, I think, and there's some nice stuff. The font choice of the haunted places in the United States, I quite like that font.
Yeah.
It doesn't need. You don't necessarily have to go with a very stylized font to tell people that it's to do with hauntedness. You know, that
like the other one with the hands.
Yeah, you don't have to do that. There's nothing to say that you have to go, you know, mega stylized on those sort of fonts. You know, it works just as well with doing something that is just readable and catches your attention.
Yeah,
you can do the styling elsewhere if you want to do that under this.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, good job. Okay, next week we've got Satoshi. It's got Viz of the Day.
Oh, this is rubbish. I wouldn't bother with this.
It's terrible.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know how he did this. And then he wrote a series of blog posts.
Yeah,
oh my God.
7 blog posts.
Yeah.
I was just like, it was the rotating of the globe that got me. It's like, this is just insane.
Yeah, it's crazy good. Do you know where this has been done before? And I only remembered this today. David Velica did one of these sort of rotating globes last year, and he did it on UFO sightings across the world. So that might be a fun one to pull up on screen. Obviously, we'll go through this viz, but that might be fun to pull up as well. I know he didn't submit it, but
yeah.
I think he was one of the first I saw do this rotating globe thing. I don't know if it's the same method, but yeah, it was on UFO sightings across the world. So that's quite could be a fun one to look at. But no, I like this. This is you know, it just blows my mind. There you go, we've got Hercules. I don't know what happened to Hercules' head. It looks like it fell off.
I always look for Urine's belt, like
yes, yeah.
It's the only one I can really identify, though.
That's all the plough, isn't it? So, obviously, crazy level of tableauing here to do a rotating globe with the constellations and is there the Milky Way in there? I think it was.
Yeah, there is the section is the Milky Way.
So
which he built in Tableau as well.
Right. Okay, he just needs to stop. Let us all catch up. Right, Constellation. The font for that is a really nice, crisp font like that. And so, yeah, it's just the number of stars that make up these constellations.
Yeah, size by how bright they are.
Nice. And then, yeah, it's just very clean.
Yeah, it's great.
It's lovely. Stars weaving stories in the sky. Do you need any introduction text to this? I don't know. I think it might ruin it if you add too much text.
I think it's pretty obvious that we're all familiar with stars, and you can highlight them and see them. And,
If you scroll down a second, I would just think I just like I don't know, the rotate bar. Could there be something done there?
How do you
mean? I don't know, like little step arrows.
Yeah, maybe.
If I know you might not want to do that on the Tableau public sort of performance side of it because it could churn away, but you want to step through the rotation, and maybe you could then make those rotating steps instead of 1 degree, you could make them 10 degrees or 5 degrees. So you still get that, you still see what's happening, but if you're stepping through it in a way, then it's more obvious that it's the globe. You can see the globe rotating a little bit more than clicking a random number and it just changing.
Yeah. I can imagine this being printed off as a poster.
Yeah,
or in a magazine or something.
What's the blue dot in the middle? What's that?
I'm not sure. So is it the middle?
Is it us? Is it Earth?
I don't know. He doesn't call it out, and I thought that straight away.
But yeah, no, we're really struggling to sort of.
But I mean, yes, I've got.
Yeah.
It's not what.
Find.
Yeah. But no, fantastic job, and congratulations on News of the Day.
Yeah, no, well done.
Okay, so next we've got is about misconceptions by Sangaroff. Myth conception, sorry. So this one looks at the different myths related by topics, so science, food, etc. And then so it breaks it down by section, and then we've got a word cloud that actually calls out what those things were. And then
it's like the 5-second rule: dropping the food on the floor, 5 seconds, you can eat it again. Yeah,
and then busted the actual facts that kind of bust those myths.
Okay, yeah. Gosh, where to start with this one? I think there's a few sort of things here. I think there's a nuance of a really great idea on this one, and a really great data set. I think it just needs a little bit of guidance on sort of visualizing it a little bit. There's a lot of color, and it's just almost overpowering with the bright red in the text on a bold white text around the red, and there's different sort of font weights as well going on.
We've got different fonts as well, and different. There's a lot. It's just you've got font size, font weight, font type, font color.
So the big tip is consistency in that. Pick a font, pick a couple of fonts that work together, and pick 1 or 2 weights and just stick to it and be consistent through. And then the sort of labeling on the sort of top bar before the, I guess they're Sankeys. The labeling is very small compared to everything else, so it's hard to read where it says science 70.59%.
Yeah.
Again, do you need 2 decimal places on that? I'm not sure. But why do those bars break down and outwards to
the
effectively nothing. What, I don't know why.
The Sankey, like, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
why
I don't know. I think it's just for design. I mean, they are size. So like the biggest one in science is about a gene for something. If I click on it, I get a gene for.
Right.
But I don't actually get to find out what that is a gene.
Okay, so yeah. So that's kind of the nuance of the viz, isn't it? Is that it's kind of overpowering with everything there, but if you find something and click on it, and then it will filter the rest of the viz. I think that's the whole point. So,
yeah, I think does it tie it together? So if I click on a gene for, which is the biggest one, I'm assuming it's this big one here, but there's no highlighting to kind of. So if I pick a small one, it's a bit difficult.
So yeah, so it works.
Drink 8 glasses of water a day, let's say. I don't get the facts, and it would be very difficult for me to find out which one is related to that myth.
But it does work if you click on the Sankey lines from the chart at the very top.
But how would I find that when
yes, exactly. Yeah.
So small. Yeah.
Yeah. So you'd want to just. So I suppose the tip would be to repeat that action on the myth conception section.
Mm-hmm.
You pick the word, and then it would tell you what the actual fact is.
Yeah, I think the highlight actions are going to be so key to making this kind of visualization work when you've got so many like word clouds.
Yeah. Does it?
Oh, hang on.
Does it mean? Oh,
I just clicked on one. It takes me to the source. This is 5-second rule. Okay, so it takes me to the source of the fact.
Jeez.
Quite interesting.
That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I understand why you're using word clouds to link them.
Yeah, totally.
I do understand that. Just trying to think. So this is all by Google Hits.
Mm-hmm. I don't think it says what period of time this was over, so that might be something to add. That was a year, a week, I don't know.
So can you filter the categories by clicking on the... No.
Doesn't do anything. That's another thing that would be quite nice if you click on science.
Yeah.
And you highlight the science myths.
Because in the first word cloud, there's a lot of small words, small sentences, or that you're not going to possibly pick out. But if you filter the category, then they're going to obviously become bigger, and then you'll be able to read them, and it'll be a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said at the start, I think there's a nuance of a good idea. It's is this the most effective way of showing it?
I personally, I would take this myth conception section out. I mean, I think, or just combine these together a little bit more. So I don't know.
Do you know what? I'm gonna probably sound a little bit like Eva and Charlie and say, make it a bar chart. In the sense of, I like the idea of trying to visually play with, the design concept with the Sankeys and stuff. I just don't think it works in that way. If this is on the number of Google hits, then maybe you bring it into, so the top Sankey section into bar charts, so that will have the bit of text next to it as a label, a gene for. So a gene for would be the biggest bar at the top, and then you could click on that and then go across the viz into what is the myth busted by.
I would like as well some, because we've got some percentages in here, but we do have the numbers in the tooltips to say this particular thing had this many hits. Maybe some bands to call that out. So big numbers to say science had the science section had this many Google hits in total.
Yeah.
Because we do have the percentages, but we don't have the overall number. And just calling out some key facts would be quite interesting, I think.
I like it though, because it's different to everything we've seen so far. It's really going on that sort of myth busting sort of.
Yeah, it reminds me of something that by David McCandless. He has a
yeah
on myth conceptions, the same wording. Doesn't look anything like this, but it's the same concept that he will take a myth and then bust it.
Yeah, I've got that book.
Yeah.
I know the one you mean. Yeah. I wish I could just sort of say this is how it really should be done. I don't. It's not terrible. It's just I think it could be done in a different way that would really sort of help it. But I get the flow of it, and I think with as it is, what we've said about you'd be able to select the myth conception to then find out the what's.
Yeah. Let's look at the data source because there's a link to it here. Okay, so it's the same data source as Information is Beautiful.
Okay. Yes. So I suppose a lot of people don't realise that you can get to those data sets.
Yeah.
They are published, and you can access those from Knowledge is Beautiful and Information is Beautiful books and their site.
The issue we have is, I think it's very text heavy analysis. So it's inevitable. I mean, you're looking at this, it's text, isn't it? So it becomes a challenge when you try and analyze it without going down the route of actual word analysis.
Yeah, I think what I would do if you were keeping the whole sort of setup of the viz is the titles, let's bust some common myth conceptions, the myth conceptions line in the middle, and then the yellow busted based on actual facts. I would probably just take all the colour off of those and just make them a dark grey sort of text colour. Take out or lighten up the white text in the initial section, just so that you then start putting more of the focus on the actual charts and the colour that's there. I think there's the colour in the titles or the section titles is just competing with the rest of the viz. I don't think it needs to.
This is why I said maybe take out this section, because I don't think it's it's adding anything. I get why it's there because of the Sankeys and they need to land somewhere, but it would be quite nice if those Sankeys, if they remain, do flow into the next section. Okay. Yeah, okay. Good job anyway. It's interesting. It's so much information that you could spend hours interacting with them. You still there, Sam?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, the next one we've got is, we're almost done, The World's Longest Poem by Shreya Vinodh.
Okay.
So this is a poem from India, which is 1.8 million words long. It's very long.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And the gallery, it's another one that's really interesting because I didn't know about this. It's always
So
interesting to learn.
this is almost the opposite of the last one in the color sense. It's very muted tones. There's only a couple of colors here. So immediately it's not competing with itself.
Yeah.
It's kind of easier to consume, and there's a bit of space to it as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's the map?
There's a lot in this list. There's lots of different chart types and things. It's interesting. So we've got the map of I think the trail taken by the I want to get this right. The character, and I think the character in the poem, right? The route that they took.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
What I'd like to see is the order that this went. Oh, hang on. If I click, I can get it.
Yeah, it says click.
I should read the instructions.
It's all right. It's late. Nearly time to get up. Nearly time to get up for work.
Yeah. I don't see the trail appearing. I don't know if it's just icons.
No. You've got footprints moving. I just saw some footprints.
Oh, okay. Yeah, got it.
Yeah. So I don't know if you show history.
Yeah, that might help.
If that might.
I was expecting a line.
Yeah, I think I was as well, and then I just spotted the footprints moving around. It's kind of fun, but I'm not sure what it's sort of adding. If it was a line that just sort of grew as you clicked through, then you could sort of follow the journey a little bit more. But because it's just a single sort of icon of where they are in that point in time, I'm not sure.
And it does. The show history is not working for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I would like to see that, or maybe just a line, because I'm assuming they visited or at least passed by these different places.
I think the map styling's nice. I don't know if it's. I don't know if they made that.
Yes, map box. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, that's good.
It's really nice. Look, I love the like the newspaper feel. I'm going to stop this because it's continuing to move around.
How is there a back button to get back to the original viz?
Doesn't look like no, there isn't. No.
So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. True. Yeah, I'm going to have to come back.
Have to reload it to get back to the other charts.
Back here. Yeah. Then we have the structure and the number of verses. I would move the marks to the back, so we'll at least show it so that we can't see that line underneath the circles. Just change the order of those marks. I'm assuming they go in order of the way that they appear in the poem.
Yeah, it doesn't give you any indication. Introduction of characters and their tales. So yeah, so it looks
like the AD is the book of beginnings. So yeah, I imagine it's the beginning.
Yeah. So this is the battle or the war. So one side of forces is 11 to 7 in size. So elephants. Were there that many elephants? That's a lot of elephants. That whole section, isn't it? It's all elephants.
It's all elephants, yeah.
Yeah.
Foot soldiers, chariots, more chariots, more elephants, horse.
That's wonder how they did. They just give them equal weighting, because
It must have done, because it's very precise. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just to give a sense of
one side versus the other. Yeah.
The ratio of force is 11 to 7.
Yeah.
Then we've got the moral complexity diagrams. I'd like to know what the colours mean on this one.
Yes.
Like the blue and the grey.
Yeah.
Because we've got some interactivity that there's no tooltips or anything either. Just, it would be nice if there was a few more annotations or something to explain what.
Yeah, you do. You need you need that sort of explanation as to, because I don't know. To be honest, I don't know what the labels are and what they mean.
Yeah.
And why they link to each other. So for a general audience, you need to have that. You need to.
I like the styling of it though. I think it looks nice.
Oh yeah. The styling is very nice.
And then we've got broken down the binaries.
Oh, I just realised what the labels are. Okay.
What, up here?
Yeah. Those labels are the where we got the line chart and the dots. It's those books or verses.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's those listed out, I think. I recognise.
Yes, like chapters, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
So
you need them if you've got 101 million something words.
Yeah.
So that's the number of words per, the number of verses, sorry, per. Let's say chapter. Yeah.
So why do they link in the broken rules of war part? Why are they linking to each other?
I don't know.
No, exactly. So we need, it needs to be explained on here.
Yeah. And then with this one, click fate. Nothing happened. Okay. Oh.
Again,
it's about gender. It's about. I don't know.
You've got the binaries: life and death,
yeah.
Male and female, win and loss.
But life is linking to female, not only, and not male.
Okay. Why is that? And
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think again you need that little sort of introduction to what. So there seems to be saying that a lot today, that a lot of these vises just need to put a bit of time into sort of explaining what the sections mean. And I suppose that's where you get into the build of the vises and you know what it means, but it's taking yourself away from the build and going, okay, if somebody else looked at this, would they know?
And it's just like being at work, isn't it? You might build something you think is really intuitive and it's obvious that you click somewhere and something happens, but as soon as you show it to somebody, they might be less like, oh, I don't understand.
Yeah.
I didn't know it did that.
From a sort of styling point of view on that bottom chart, I would be tempted to make the lines a lot thinner. So I think that would look a little nicer. I think they're using opacity on the lines as well, aren't they? So yeah, I'm not even sure the circles are in the center point, the horizontal
There seems to be
line.
like a join just above the circles. Yeah.
So I'd expect those circles to cover those joins. So I think maybe they're a bit too low down. But
and the tooltip as well is coming up when I hover over the actual line, not the circle. I would expect it to be in the circle.
But I suppose the reason for it on the line is because it's the join between the two things. So if you hovered on a circle, you wouldn't get that join between the two.
True. Well, maybe then if I click on or hover on fate, it would tell me that fate is linked to free will, female.
Yeah. Tell you which ones it's linked. Yeah. Or just highlight everything coming from fate.
Yeah.
I do like the chart. I think it's a nice.
It's very beautiful.
Chart.
And, pretty.
And I think it. I think if you just sort of made those lines a little thinner, it would have been a bit more sort of in keeping with everything. And then you just need that introduction.
Yeah, I do like the styling. It's pretty consistent throughout.
Yeah.
Which is nice. I do like the overall design.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Okay.
Good job.
Yeah, good job. Okay, next we've got the Journey of Little Red. This is looking at the one about Little Red Riding Hood. Shreya.
This got a lot of interest, didn't it, when this was posted?
Yeah,
and rightly so.
So it's all based on a paper that was published by a doctor. I think he might have actually commented. There was one viz for this round where the actual original author came back and said, "Wow, like you did a lot better job than I did in visualizing it."
Oh right.
Yeah, it was this one. It's really, really interesting to read about like the origins and how it's gone off different directions.
Yes. The styling has obviously put a lot of effort into the styling, and that's really good. The font at the top is very nice. It's very sort of eye-catching. The image is eye-catching, the one that they've used there. I think they call out where they've picked the images from at the bottom.
Yeah, and they've tied that colour back like throughout. So you've got the Red Riding Hood, and then
and they're using the colour from that image on the fonts.
Yes,
which is good.
I think one of the reasons why it works so well, it just ties together so nicely.
Yeah. And then at the bottom, you've got that really vibrant chart. It's very, very eye-catching.
The colours are beautiful. I used that on. You probably saw at the beginning. I used it on my deck because I thought it's quite nice.
Yeah, it's more than quite nice. It's really,
the colours are beautiful.
Yeah. But you can see with this chart, the thinness of the lines really works really nicely, and that's sort of what I was meaning with the previous viz. If you thin the lines down, it'll look a little more sort of deliberate and sort of delicate and kind of sophisticated, I think.
It's elegant, isn't it? I think
it's very much so. Yeah. So this is how is this working? So for each story, so Aesop's Fables, it's what characters are killed, victims.
The Tableau highlights the characteristics of different stories, similarities and differences between stories within each category. each curve represents a story characteristic and each colour a category. So if we take the yellow, which is wolf and kids, you can, so if we take it, let's read it from right to left, the number of victims, you can trace that back to, just thinking, if you trace it back to the, I'm not actually sure, I'm getting confused. I was going to say you can trace it back to the who the victims were, but I don't think
it works.
No, it doesn't work like that.
No, because on the left-hand side you've got number of victims single. So, is it saying in those stories from the wolf and the kids, there are quite a few multiple victims and only a couple single victims in those? I don't know. Okay, maybe it's a how to read section we might need on this. It's lovely. It's just
yeah. Unfortunately, the lines don't connect when you highlight. It'd be good to see where I'm struggling to see where one leads.
I'm not sure if they lead from one side to the other. That's the thing.
Okay.
I think they're just coming from. I think it's coming from the center bar, and then it's going out from both sides to different elements from that. So if the wolf and the kids was a set of stories or a single story, I'm not sure what it is, then it's telling you that those stories have all of these, or this amount of each of these elements from the outside. I think that's what it's trying to tell us.
Okay, so it makes more sense then. So if the species of the victim was an animal, let's say, it's saying in most cases that animal fell into the wolf and kids.
Yeah,
bracket.
maybe.
No, but actually, I think if we go back up here, so we've got so these dots. We've got so that it's the different ways that story spread. So we ended in African tales, the 18th century, the tiger grandmother. These are the categories, right?
Yeah.
So it's the different adaptations of essentially what was the same story.
Yeah. And then this is showing how they're differing in their makeup.
Yeah.
The different adaptations.
Yeah.
Yeah. The sort of flow at the top, the red lines at the top, where it was showing how they're sort of branching off. I was just wonder. It's not a big issue at all. I just wonder if it should be flipped down the vertical. So, the stuff that's coming off to the left at the moment, which is going to East Asia and Japan and Korea, would that work better if it was going off to the right, where you would normally sort of geographically sort of think about those countries, or is that because I'm from the West?
It's because you're from the West, I think.
It probably is because I'm from the West, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine. Then ignore that comment.
It always depends, where you are in the world. Yeah.
I guess so. It does, doesn't it? Yeah. No, I was just thinking. It seemed odd to me, but maybe from a different viewpoint, it's not odd at all. Okay.
Yeah, I think just it's really good, but I think this this bit needs a little bit more explanation.
Just it could, if you don't want to put the explanation on the actual main viz, so it sort of ruins the overall aesthetic. Put it in an icon or
just like we've got down here, like that, one of these like icons. Would be good. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But no, I do really like it. The design is really good.
Oh, one thing I've spotted at the bottom.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So you go down to the bottom text. There's so at the very bottom of the So no, sorry, what am I talking about? No, up. Above that chart, sorry, in the middle text even.
All right.
There's a little bit of text in the middle that is got an underline.
Yep.
And that's a link to an external site.
Okay.
So I think things like that, it would be worth just having a little bit of text to say, click to go to something, or takes you to an external site, because I find that quite annoying if you click on things and then it takes you off to a website that you weren't really expecting to go and visit.
Yeah.
So,
you could show that as evolved twice independently, maybe in brackets link, and then have that.
Or just one of those little icons with a little arrow in the box next to it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That would work.
Off. Just something like that. Just to give that indication that if you click it, you're going somewhere else.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. Okay. Okay, we've got another one. This is 2 more. AI, The Road to the Future by Vignesh. I was waiting for someone to do a viz on AI, and sure enough, they did. This viz is really long, super detailed. It's got a lot of stuff going on in here. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So in the theme of myth, mystery, and magic, I would expect a viz on AI to sort of be talking about maybe the misconception about AI, about how robots might take their jobs, or robots might take over the world.
Yep.
This viz is more of just an explanation of AI.
Yep.
Which is nothing wrong with it. I think they've put an awful lot of effort into it. So from the theme, sort of the topic of the round, or the topic of the month, maybe you'd want to introduce something around what people's beliefs are around AI, and having increasing number of or increasing AI in modern life. That might be something.
Yeah, no, I agree.
To bring in, and although it is already very long, so you might not want to add to it.
I think if we bring it back to the InVis context, obviously you need to. Usually the theme is quite broad, so we take health and well-being, for instance, which is the most recent feeder. It needed to be something that was somewhat related to health and well-being, and I think if you did viz something that wasn't on theme, there was a chance that you may have been disqualified.
Yeah.
Or your viz wouldn't have proceeded further than the first round, because it just, or you may even have lost points because it wasn't applicable to the topic.
Yeah. So, sort of scrolling through this, I really quite like the top section. It's very infographic-y. I actually quite like it. The styling of those big, percentages on the left there is really cool. I like the call-outs on the donuts in the center. I know we're not supposed to like donut charts, but
yeah,
it kind of works for me in an AI sort of theme.
It does, but to me, is this Tableau or is this an image? Because it looks to me that it might be built in something else and brought into Tableau as an image.
Okay.
That's my only criticism. I can't download it to see. Oops,
no.
And I've just messed up the map. Always fix your map.
Yeah.
It just doesn't look like Tableau to me.
No, you could be right. So that top section, I think, is sort of it's. I quite like it.
I do like it.
Dense. It's quite dense on information, but I don't think I mind that in this instance. But what I find is, as you scroll down, it sort of changes tack a little bit. I'm not really sure what the Sankeys are flowing from one to another. It doesn't quite work.
Well, I don't think they're supposed to, are they? I think
okay.
that they're two charts next to each other, but they're literally touching that it makes you feel like they're supposed to flow, but they don't. So I would definitely make it more clearer that they're separate charts.
Yeah, put some space between them, I think. And then it continues quite nicely in the same sort of theme, but I think the next section after this, suddenly the text becomes really big and bold.
The timeline.
I think it's after. Yeah.
Oh, here, yeah, the end.
Yeah. Suddenly it's completely different.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that. I think it needed, the top section was all very nicely formatted, and I think this sort of goes away from it, and I think it's not it's not a good sort of change. I think it should continue with what was above.
Yeah,
and then it would.
I agree. There's a lot of consistency at the top with colours as well, and just over. You know, at least there's only, they may not be consistent, but at least there's only 2 or 3 colours in play.
And the fonts
and it's very viz heavy rather than text heavy, but as you say, you get down to the bottom and it's pretty much just text and images.
And the text is heavier.
It's very big.
That's just like an overall sort of comment on it, I think. But for what it's telling us, there's so much information in it, isn't there? Lost my cursor.
There's a lot. There's so much in here. I mean, I can't go through it all right now.
No.
I mean, you've got links off to different things by the author as well, which is nice.
Okay. Yes, there's sort of little things that you might want to change in here. So under the AI development section with the Sankeys, there's 2 bar charts that line up next to each other, but none of it's ordered in alphabetical order. So potentially you might want to order it by one of those bar charts, or have a filter so you can see which is top. In fact, it's the difference in years. So which industry was biggest in what year?
Personally, I'd change that chart type to maybe a slope chart or something. I don't know, something to show, because you're showing the difference. It's not 2 separate things. It's changed over time, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's not immediately obvious by looking at this which ones are predicted to change the most. So you can see, because naturally that the biggest one stands out, like the consumer, but I couldn't tell you straight away if that's the one also with the biggest change or biggest growth projection.
Yeah. And then just if you keep scrolling down a little bit and then stop there, you've got the how companies, there's a spelling issue in the right title.
How
companies are invested in AI, and then the bar colours are different than what was before. So something's changed there. I don't know why that is, but it doesn't. It sort of doesn't look right. Doesn't sort of go with the rest of it.
Also, I mean, I don't know if this is supposed to be parts of the whole thing, but they don't add up to 100 either.
No, and then is it blue because it's that year of, what was it, 2025? What was it? It was 2025. Yeah. So is that results for or expected for 2025?
Yeah,
because it's in that blue. Or
well, yeah, I know.
Something different.
if we took, like I said before, that the colours are consistent in the sense that there's only a few colours in play, but they have different meanings as we scroll through. I think because you've got 2025 and 2018 here and here. I don't know. I can't see this being 2025, because how would they know in 2025 what they were going to be investing in right now, for sure?
Yeah.
And then over here, the blues take on a different meaning and altogether. Yeah.
Yeah, they've put a lot of work in, I think.
So definitely
they've done well.
A lot in here.
Yeah, you could sit here for quite a while, sort of going through all of it.
Yeah, I'd be with this. Messed up the map now, but to fix that, I'd be inclined to flip this bar chart, so just rotate it so it's horizontal.
Yeah.
Just so you haven't got this issue with the text being more difficult to read at the headers.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay.
No. You want to move on?
Yeah. Let's get this finished.
Okay. So first of all, we have Will Sutton with the I think it's the Arthur round table. Yeah.
Yep. The Arthurian legend.
There's a replica of the round table, and it's medieval. Not far from where I live. You can go visit on the wall in a church.
On the wall? Okay.
It's hung on the wall, in Winchester. Yeah.
The Winchester.
No, in Winchester, the place.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
You meant
not the pub. Not the pub.
No, that's what I thought. Okay. Yeah, no, so I like the styling on this. It's very in theme with the topic. The image works well. I've tried using it or playing with it a little bit. I get a little lost in the interaction. I don't know if you've had the same sort of...
Yeah, I have. So I'm not familiar too much with the story. So, but I also got a little bit lost. I mean, it must have put an incredible amount of work into this. You know, and just figuring out how it was all going to piece together. If we select, let's say, Arthur. We
is this every time Arthur's
the timeline
involved?
for Arthur? Yeah, so it follows essentially his life, right?
Yeah, yeah. But then, what's the drop down and the way it says pick a character on the right hand side? So if you pick a character, does it do the same thing?
I don't know what changed.
No, it's, you see, that's I think that's where I got a bit confused. I think it might be doing the same thing, but you might have to unselect Arthur. But then not all those icons around Arthur are highlighted. Some are highlighted, some
And if I select,
so they must be different. I think they must be different sheets. Those little icons above, and some have been affected by the action, and some haven't.
Yeah, but if I don't think that's working, is it? Because it's not. It doesn't appear to be doing anything. So
no.
Yeah, so it says say click on the point to see the chapter details. Hover to see the chapter details, click to see the chapter in full. It's fine. Go on. It will give me my chapter there. So that makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you could spend hours looking at this. There's so many
Yeah,
points. I guess the icons in like these ones, they're just like key points in the story, right?
Yeah, they must be. Yeah.
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 And they all have like annotations as well that they've got, and there's commonality. So like the baby, so this represents the baby being born. You've got the gravestone for death.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. I think sort of the chapter on the left-hand side, the book chapter, I don't know if there was opportunity to break that up a little bit, but it does seem like a lot
Yeah,
to read.
I guess
as you're
that's
flicking
maybe a
through.
limitation of
Yeah.
of Tableau. I think maybe if depending on where the data's coming from.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I know I've had issues like this where if you have text in a, let's say, an Excel spreadsheet in a cell,
Yeah.
and then you bring that into Tableau, it usually comes through as one complete block, unless you're putting the breaks in the source.
Yeah, I've played around with that as well, and if you do the alt enter in the Excel
Yeah, that's what I
sheet,
mean. Yeah,
sometimes that comes through,
it's a bit
or
unpredictable.
you space it out with
Yeah.
you break up your text basically in Excel. Um, so what about the layout? Does that work for you with the way that it runs from the top and then it sort of goes round and round to the left and up and down
So I think it's intuitive that it starts at the top and it ends
yeah.
in bottom right. I think that's absolutely fine. Um, I guess the other bits, it's just a matter of fitting it into the space. I'd be, if it was me, I'd be inclined to make this a bit bigger, just because it's quite compressed at the moment,
Yes, yeah.
compact. Just
The
make it
labels
long.
are
Just make it longer. I don't. It's a very small viz, really.
yeah. I'd be almost tempted. I don't know if it would work or how well it would work. I'd be almost tempted to sort of almost split it in two. So you have your text on the left, you bring your image of the round table on the left and your character selection to the left, and then the right sort of side is just the timeline going from top to bottom, either going left to right
Yeah.
each
So
row or up and down. But
like we saw a Jackie's, but much more detailed, lots
yeah,
much
yeah,
longer.
yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that and that might just be a bit cleaner, sort of to look at and follow through. Might be a bit more, maybe it's a bit more boring because it's not going left to right and then down to the bottom corner and then up and down and left to right. It's more like a maze or
It is, and then
or
maybe that's intentional.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah, yeah. I think yeah. I think the temptation would be to like almost use too many colors for each character or each main character. So a point would be one color for Arthur, and the next point might be something to do with Guinevere, and you
Mm-hmm.
color that. I think he's done well to sort of avoid traps with trying to put too much color onto it.
Yeah.
So I think that's good, and he's obviously using the color from the image as well. The green sort of matches up, and so does the background color.
Yeah.
Kind of match up as well.
Yeah.
So I think, or at least he's, if not using the color from the image, at least considering it. I think.
Yeah. But no, I think it's really impressive. Definitely.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
good.
the font in the title is spot on the topic.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's very good.
Yeah.
I like.
Well done, Will. Okay, that's it. I think it's the last one. Yeah.
Really, we've not been going long enough.
So, no, thank you so much. I don't know how long this was, but it felt like a very long time.
Yes. Well, we did start yesterday. It is
Yes.
now tomorrow.
But it was fun. It's just really good to. I really enjoy always, interacting with the visitors a lot more than what you would usually.
Yes.
When you quite often when you see them on Twitter, you don't really get a chance to click through and really
No.
spend
No.
time with
Right.
them. Yeah.
No. Yeah. No. No. Thank you for having me, and it's been fun.
Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, there'll be a blog post soon, so I'll be sharing that with this recording. So yeah, they'll all be in there, all the entries. I think we had about 50 something, so quite a few.
Wow.
And
Excellent.
just so you know, the next one is already live, and it's on designing for mobile. So you can pick any data set you wish and make sure your viz is either mobile first design, so it's primarily designed for mobile, or it's at least mobile friendly, so there's a special like mobile view. And the deadline for that is, I think it's early October, so there's still quite a long time to get involved. The full details are on my blog, and my co-host is Zach Bowders.
Great.
So
I think what would be quite interesting to see if anyone takes one of these vizzes that they've done and convert it to a mobile thing.
Yeah, and there's a few people I've spoken to that said they missed the deadline for this, but they're still going to do it and then make it mobile friendly, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to use it as an opportunity to update my IronQuest dashboard and make it mobile friendly. So I mean, might as well.
Yeah.
It's something that I think a lot of us neglect at the mobile. I mean, I got the idea from Andy Cockgrave. He suggested it to me because we were talking about IronViz, and he was like, "Wouldn't it be good if you did try it out? Like, you know, rather than looking at topics, focusing in on different features." And I know for me personally, I rarely design for mobile. I don't often have the need to do it at work, and it's very easy just to delete the mobile view when you're designing, or the phone view when you're designing in Tableau.
Yeah.
So it would definitely be a good learning exercise for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. Sounds great topic.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, you can do any topic you wish as well. So hopefully, it will have a huge variety of different things going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Sam, and good night.
Yes. Thank you for having me, and yeah, good night to you too.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.